Over a period of some 40 years, Fred Dibnah demolished 89 chimneys. His 90th at the former Park Mill in Royton near Oldham was to be his last. It's the end of an era for Royton's textile industry, and for Fred. But being Fred, he's got a new idea.
Really, my steeplejacking days are nearly over with. There's not many big chimneys like this left to knock down. They do keep coming, but not quite as frequent. This, of course, will enable me to do lots of things that I've always wanted to do. Like now, after 27 years, my tractor's finished. And I intend doing a grand tour of Great Britain, meeting interesting people who do interesting things.
This series follows Fred Dibnah on the journey he made round Britain on his traction engine. It was a journey in which he went in search of the skills and technology that had made it possible to build an engine like this in the first place. And it was to be his last, because by the time he set out, Fred knew that the cancer he'd been suffering from for nearly 3 years was incurable. This series is a record of Fred achieving his last great ambition. Fred's engine is a 1912 Aveling and Porter convertible tractor. On it he toured the length and breadth of Britain under the power of steam to celebrate the remarkable achievements of the engineers and industrial workers whose endeavours made engines like this possible. It was a journey that took him to places like ancient iron foundries and boiler works, where skills that were once very common have now all but disappeared. And to little workshops where things are still made today just as they were over 100 years ago. Getting around the country under the power of steam wasn't easy.
Hurry up. What are you doing? Don't near that pavement. No.
An engine like this wasn't really designed to be driven in modern day traffic.
When these engines were made, the traction engine was basically king of the road. Everything got out of the way of it. As time's gone by, in the modern world, you've got to be on your toes, like, because they don't stop quick, you know. You need a yard or two to stop. A lot of people who own these things don't go on the road. They're scared of actually getting amongst the modern traffic.
It was a journey full of ups and downs. But whatever the problems they faced, they made it, and achieved a few notable firsts along the way, like crossing the Forth Road Bridge, the first time this had ever been done by a traction engine under its own steam. The highlight of the tour was a trip to London. Fred had been honoured with an MBE for his services to industrial heritage and broadcasting, and he was going to go to the palace to collect it on the engine.
In some ways, this journey is a celebration of finishing off my tractor and Britain's great industrial past. When I bought it about 27 years ago, I didn't really think it'd take as many years as it has done.
Why? I'll give you 2003 for it.
We're getting rather near now, aren't we?
The original were absolutely rotten, you know, it were all rusty, all the rivets were pointed and all of that. So I started off by making a new boiler barrel. I didn't actually roll the plate, but I did all the riveting, you know, all the hole boring and the rivets.
Now we're going to manage you paying for all the bits and pieces.
We'll manage. We managed before with that, didn't we? No more holidays.
Oh, we've never had any.
Fred made nearly all the parts for the engine himself, which is one of the reasons it all took him so long.
Everything was going very well, but with 6 rivets to do around where the barrel goes into the throat plate, and a horrible crack appeared in between 4 rivet holes. And of course this has been caused by expanding and contracting in all them years, which meant that we'd got to make a new one, which were quite a feat.
By this time, Fred had a lot of friends helping him, and once the new throat plate was made, progress was rapid.
All locomotives and traction engines have all been made by belt-driven machinery. I should imagine they had the first year of disasters. This is fully automatic. There's only one difference between this and the most modern state-of-the-art thing. This works off sticks. The only awkward bit is sawing it up to make it fit in the boiler. It's nice to know that you've done it all by burning sticks. We've got to the undercoat stage, you know.
Amongst the friends who helped were Alf Molyneux and Jimmy Crooks, both retired miners.
Yeah, it's a lot smoother than it was.
There'll not be much room for you in here, Fred, when I'm driving this.
You what? Oh, this is nice on this side. Oh, that's nice and smooth, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that's lovely, isn't it? It's nice that we're now getting to this stage.
Yeah. Right. Go and put the kettle on.
That's the best idea you've had all day, that. I got involved with this. We got talking about pits, and he said, oh, I'm going to pitch egg here in my back garden. So I said, oh, I'd like to see that, being an ex-miner. So I came down to have a look, but I came on the day when he needed a bit of muscle power on traction engine. And then he said, can you just give us a lift with this? That were it, I was trapped. That was it then. He reckons now I'm his expert
knocker.
Stay knocker. What's the word for that?
Hey?
I'm your stay knocker now, aren't I?
Oh, are you? You're extraordinary. Where can I put this bloody thing down now? Yeah.
Will it fit on there?
Okay. It will be, I've got mine too, you look.
Who's made these?
Me.
Looks like there's more in the tray than in the cup.
Well, a bit heavy for me.
It's good, that.
And finally, after a lot more brews, it's the big day. Is the engine going to work?
Whoa! So, this is it. Here we go. Handle forward. Regulator open. Nothing happened. Wait a minute.
Like a Rolls Royce.
1 or 2 knocks, but nothing terrible, you know.
Magic.
It's been like a long, hard 27 years, I'll tell you. And every time there was some unforeseen disaster, you know. I mean, I'm not the only guy doing this. There's dozens of them all over England in little sheds trying hard with very little money, you know. In my opinion, you know, instead of giving it to these men with the tight trousers who dance on stages, they should give a bit to the lads who are bending traction engines, because they're an unbelievable tourist attraction. I mean, in Dorset, there's a guy there, I don't know how many million people come every year to a traction engine rally from all over the continent and everything. They've never been to one before. It is like a nice day out.
So why had it taken so long?
If I had an electric motor instead of a steam engine driving my machinery, it would have maybe a year or two less than the 20-odd years. But the other thing is as soon as you light fires in boilers, they seem to have some fatal attraction for people who just come from nowhere. And of course, you can't stop talking, can you? You've got to like talk to them. So I would say half the 27 years has been taken up with talking and not doing the job.
But finally, in spite of all the interruptions, the great day has arrived. The engine is ready to go out onto the road for the first time.
Before we set off on this journey, I want to do a few road tests with it around the local area and visit one or two people who actually helped me with machining and engineering the bits that I couldn't really do myself. Yeah, should be good fun, I think. Come here, cock. Yeah, this young man here with the red hair's my eldest lad, Jack. You know, he don't live here, but he likes coming here to help me and all, and he's very keen on the world of steam. He lives in Isle of Man and he's well in with railway job there, but he likes coming here and helping me with my traction engines and all my steam engines. And he's not got his flat cap on, have you? Right, come on, we'll get on with it, and then we can get it out shed. Right, go on, tighten it up.
An engine like this cannot be moved until it's steamed up. But even now, there's a problem.
Oh, bloody stupid thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, listen.
Stupid.
While you're getting that, where you're getting steam up on that, I'll take that pump off and I'll check it on the floor.
To me, that Land Rover, I'll tell you, the thing has never ever been any good since I got it. We just had one disaster after another at very important times. Never when it don't matter. Till the day I went out in it, didn't I? And it conked out on me, miles out of town, you know, and all. And I ended up walking home.
But getting a traction engine out on the road isn't like getting your car out of the drive.
Take that red thing away and hide it somewhere.
There's hours of preparation involved.
Being a traction engine driver, really, wasn't an easy business. It wasn't just a matter of climbing on the thing and setting off down the road. I mean, a lot of preparation before the thing even moves. You've got to procure the sticks and an oily rag and get the fire lit and make sure there's enough water in the boiler. You know, if there's no water in the boiler, you're in trouble. And then, of course, you proceed to go round with the oil can. There's literally dozens of oiling points. The whole procedure took a couple of hours before you actually set off. I can't think of anybody who's ever done it any quicker.
And 2 hours later...
Come on, swing on it, Doc. Driving a traction engine is a fairly simple thing, really. There's very important things you've got to watch, like the water level in the boiler. If you're an absolute raw recruit or a beginner, and you put in for your driving test on the traction engine, the man who comes to do the test, he's happy as long as you can get round the corner, do a three-point turn and stop the thing. There's a lot more to it than that. I mean, they don't ask you about what would you do if the water's disappeared out the bottom of the glass, which is very important because a steam boiler is basically a bomb.
This means that it's vital that it's kept full of water. Once they set off on the journey proper, this is something that is going to be a constant worry.
I know. What do it?
The authorities turn a blind eye nowadays to stealing water from fire hydrants.
How do you know when it's full? When I get wet through.
But in the olden days, it were a very serious business and there weren't as many hydrants and there were a lot of oyster troughs and it were like forbidden to put your sucker pipe in an oyster trough. I don't have a look down the hole. I don't know. It's all new to me, this. I've never filled it up before. I can't see it. Somewhere down there.
It's smaller than me. It's there.
At last, it's ready to set off.
To make it go is what's called the regulator, which basically opens a steam valve that lets steam into the cylinders, or in the case of the throttle on a car, lets petrol into the carburettor. An internal combustion engine is a very feeble thing compared with the power of steam.
When he was building the engine, the local scrap metal merchants provided a lot of the materials Fred needed. Today, he's looking for a bar to make a driving pin for one of the wheels.
On our way to see a scrap metal dealing company who have a particularly fine set of weighing scales where we can put the engine on and weigh it to the last couple of ounces. It's very important that you know how heavy the thing is. And when we get there, you never know what you're going to find, actually. Come to have it weighed. Aye. How heavy is it? Not in kilos, wait a minute.
8 tons, Fred. 8 tons. Just over 8 tons.
Just over 8 tons, isn't it? Oh, that's all right. Right. Yeah, I'll just go and see if there's a piece of 3-inch bar down the end of the yard. If there is a piece, I'll come back and show it you like I normally do, and you'll wave to me through the window, and then we'll disappear quick. All right.
All right.
See you later. See you in a bit. I'm at present looking for a piece of 3-inch bar to make a driving pin for the other rear wheel, but there's nothing over there that's suitable, so it's all like potluck. You know, you come in one day and you get something good, and you know you come in for 3 weeks and there's no any good. So there's no any good today, so we're off. Where are we going? Straight on. We won't stop here a minute though. Back to follow me. Oh, foot brakes.
What do you want forward then?
Oh, yeah.
So how's the boiler after a couple of miles driving?
That's gone worse. This one stopped at the top practically, you know. Even that it's not as bad as it looks. Why is it that we steamed this boiler about 15 times when it was just a boiler and it didn't leak? And we put it all together, and now that it's all together, it's picked 3 places to leak what you can't get at. You know, they'll seal up right, but it's really annoying when you think, you know, that we've had it once perfectly steam tight and everything okay.
Next stop, the place where Fred got most of the copper and brass for the engine.
Brought some of your brass back.
And he's still short of some brass nuts.
Whoa. Hey. Hey.
Fair machine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of your brass work. I'll point a few bits out.
Right, Fred.
Yeah, all the metal that these taps are made out of all come out of this scrapyard. And all the lubricators and the nuts and the metal that these are made out of come from the bellises, yeah. They were like sheet brass, you know, that with black paper stuck on it. And there's a tap round corner, what we get the washing water out of, that's come from here. Even these greasers come out of this scrapyard, you know. Like people throw away stuff that they think is never going to be of any use in the modern world, but people like me can put it to good use in the old world.
Fair job, isn't it?
Oh, well, it's nearly a new one.
Yeah, no doubt, I can see that.
There's only that plate and that one and a bit of the back end left of the original boiler, you know, rest is new. We've got a lot of other bits at home that have come from here that we never got round to putting on. Right. Now, all of England jealous of this see this lorry. It's our secret, you know, collection of jewels and everything splendid, you know. All this steam stuff. Yeah. And I'll go and do the bartering. Yeah. We've had a maiden voyage now, which has gone quite well, you know, I'm very pleased. You know, just 1 or 2 odds and sods that need seeing to, and then it'll be ready for the world tour, I would think. Today's been 99% successful. The leaks are a bit worrying, but, you know, it's like, it isn't that serious.
A long 27 years, Fred.
Well, there were some days I never thought I'd ever see it wrong. But I've done it. It's finished. Well, it's not finished, but it's running. Oh, birds are singing, everything's going right for us.
Time now for some last-minute preparations. No living van can go out on the road without a touch of the signwriter's artistry. And there are plenty of little jobs to keep everybody else busy.
I'm cleaning smoke tubes out. They get full of soot, and you got to keep them clean, or else you just start losing all your efficiency. And it's one of them jobs you have to do regular. That's all.
Yeah. Is there any bristles left on that?
No.
Eh?
That's the last one.
Yeah,
that,
hey, look at all bristles have come
yeah,
on.
that's the last one. That now.
Yeah, all right then.
You happy
Oh.
with them?
Yeah, we've got a long build, vehicle thing now. So come and give us
So
a lift
put
for
in that
holding in
right,
position
right.
while I'm out where the screw holes are. Yeah, Belf, if you and Elf hold it up, I'll mark where we want the holes, and then you take it down there and drill it. I think we need about 8 in here, really, don't we? For make it look somewhat presentable. Wait a minute. How many?
Is it horizontal?
You mean level?
Yeah, level. That's about
wait a
right,
minute.
that.
Well, I don't know. Hang on. We could really could do with a ruler, couldn't we?
Well, you can still mark for your holes, can't you?
Oh yeah.
Got it there.
Is that right? Is it
Yeah.
level?
Yeah.
My ruler, that's level.
Jim is in charge of the pencil, so right. Just hold it there and let me
Right.
have a look from
It's
up there. Yeah, I think it'll do that.
But there's still plenty of testing to do, and there's still a few scares for Fred.
Well, we've got some steam coming from underneath the wagon on the cylinder box, which should not be. It's going to be one of two things. A crack in the cylinder block, which is disastrous, or water that's accumulated on a ledge when we hydraulic tested it. I've been frightened like this before when I was a beginner. Like all the wagging round the boiler, and you've done an hydraulic test, and then all of the steam coming out everywhere. It's all the bloody water trapped inside the wagon that's being turned into steam by the heat from the boiler. I'm going to just lift up the wagon and it's almost stopped and see where that steam's coming from. If it's coming out of a hole, we're in trouble. Now, somebody with asbestos fingers has got to shove that rag in there.
It's hot.
Yeah, I know, it's hot, yeah. You've bad news with them gloves on, you'll burn yourself. Shove all rag in, that's it. So,
Another piece of rag.
that's the best rag we've got and we're ruining it. Hey, no, that's our towel. Can't do that. And we're going to dry our hands at dinner time. It's all right now, there. It's all gone. Yeah. It's a false alarm.
There's no leak. The steam was coming from the water that had accumulated under the boiler. Time for more road tests, and now it's Alf's turn.
We've now got it on road, and it's beautiful, and it's an achievement. A bit more love involved in this because you've helped to put it together.
Not losing any steam, you know. Basically, when you're steaming along the long road, if the roads are good and wide enough and everybody's getting by, you can relax. It's a bit like driving a canal boat. The steering's very similar, you know, a bit this way, a bit that way, but there's no signalling system on it. You've got to hang outside and put your hand out like they did in olden days.
On this little trip, Fred's going to a local engineer's where they machined the gears for the engine.
The brakes up. No, I've not put brake on. I've not quite got used to this yet.
Blocked in.
I nearly drove it through next door neighbour's fence this morning.
It's a credit to you, Fred.
Thank you. Mick come and see me over there, you know.
Did he?
He's not very free with his admiration words, is he? And he
never was.
He said it. Well, no, he said it was a good job.
What sort of speed do you get out of it, Fred?
Well, we've had it up to 12 miles an hour this morning.
You really?
Yeah, it's quite early at that speed. It's a bit right. Don't stop, you know. With brakes screwed on and everything, it's still going. Yeah, like all this lot here, Brian here did all of this. And on the other side, there's a great big one, you know, the actual worn out original one still hiding in the corner in this engineering works. Brian machined all to the teeth off, and then we made it a shrink fit, and then we welded it as well, and a shaving off each side and top of teeth, and then we took it to gear cutters who put all teeth on.
That's right.
And then the gear cutters went bankrupt, so we can't go there no more.
You know, that work for Fred for nothing.
Yeah. No, I ought paid him, you know. No, I paid you.
Oh, right. Bad memory, Fred.
2 pints,
Yeah.
Come on, we'll go and have a look at that wheel, we'll go and dig it out. Oh, them are big lumps, aren't they? Where them come from? Eh?
Sheffield, them are from.
Have them been forged? And, yeah. Yeah, when I think that when I got it, you know, all them years ago, the teeth were all like that on every wheel, you know, sort of thing.
They're really sharp, aren't they?
Yeah, oh yeah. They must have lost 3/8 of an inch off each side that's worn away. You can tell how many thousands of miles it must have done.
This sort of engineering was just too big for Fred to do in his shed.
In this modern and advanced age, as they say it is, that we live in, it gets more and more difficult to find people who can actually do work like this. It's incredible, really. I mean, if I had to start again at the beginning, I'd be in trouble.
It's the reason we're still here, really.
Yeah.
Having these big lanes,
Yeah.
the smaller end of the business, we've lost to countries
Yeah.
such as Taiwan.
Yeah, then we've got one in a shed in backyard.
No, they won't fit in your shed, Fred.
Yeah, no, yeah. All the people who've helped me and done various bits of machining for me have nearly all gone this pattern.
That's why Fred's aiming to find some of these places before they all disappear. But before they can set out on the grand tour, there's one more hurdle to overcome: the boiler test.
Yeah, well, we've got 100 and odd on, and there's the usual, you know, them blobs that were coming out when we hydraulicked it. Yeah, there, see, you know, you can't get at it, you know, sort of thing.
We need to make sure it seals up.
Well, we'll give it a dose at Quaker Oats and what have you, you know, or something like that, and see what happens.
Yeah, we're almost up to pressure now.
Yeah.
But we just have to set the safeties to 150.
Yeah.
We just get it to feather first, Fred, okay. It's about 145 now, so if you just get it to lift.
It come in now.
Right, yeah, just leave it that for a second, Fred. Yeah. Fred's adjusting the safety valves so they lift at the correct pressure, about 150 psi. One's sticking a little bit at the moment, so he's having to adjust a bit more than he necessarily would. But what they'll do first, they'll get them to lift, bring the pressure down below 150, and then we'll raise the pressure again and make sure they're lifted at the correct pressure. Right, yeah, I'm happy with those, Fred, okay.
Malcolm's last job is actually to have a look at the front tube plate, see that there's no water fizzing out of it, innit? Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There's nothing there, Fred.
Oh, you're melting.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There's no leaks at all there. And that completes it, really. If you do those small alterations and you should be all right. I should be able to sign you off.
So they're ready for the road, and Alf can't wait to get started.
Oh, I'm on this holiday with him. He's invited me to a country with him. That'll be a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm the steersman. I've no doubt he'll show me how to drive the thing properly. Of course, I'll have a running commentary off Fred. I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be something else, that. Really will.
Next, they finally managed to set out on their grand tour, but not without a bit of trouble getting the living van out of the drive as they set off for an open cast mine to stock up with the coal they need for their journey. Fred Dibnah has spent 27 years restoring his traction engine, and now at last it's ready for the open road. Today is day one of his big journey. He's setting off on a grand tour of Britain in search of everything that went into building and running an engine like this.
I'll start moving now.
Like the traction engine men of old, he plans to stay in his living van.
Come on back, Fred.
But first, he's got to get it out of his garden. He's due to leave in half an hour.
Ready? Yeah, keep your fingers crossed.
But there's a problem with the brakes, and it's costing them valuable time.
I can't see nothing here.
Don't put too much on, you're going to have it right, gate post, aren't you? More off, more off. What are you doing?
Oh, don't sorry.
Right.
But at last, after a 2-hour struggle, they succeed in getting it out onto the road.
I'm knackered and we've not set off yet. Right, flashing light on the back.
There we are. Oh, not somewhat right there.
Well, after a few trials and tribulations, at long last we're ready for our epic journey. Well, the first thing we need is plenty of coal, so we're off to the coal mine.
It's 12 o'clock before they get going, 2 or 3 hours behind schedule already. Whichever way you go out of Bolton, it's all uphill. So it's an early test for the engine.
First day this, nobody's come to us, but that's what we're doing.
Can't hear you, I'm deaf in this here.
Their destination is an open cast mine between Wigan and St Helens. It's only about 14 miles from Bolton, so it sounds simple enough to get there in a day. But Fred's engine has had a complete rebuild, so a few teething troubles are to be expected. And they soon start. They're only 1.5 miles out of Bolton, and some adjustments are needed.
We've run out of steam and run out of water. I mean, that's a big hill for a traction engine. From now on, it's all downhill and it's fairly flat, so we should be in with a chance, like, you know. No guts in it, you know, at all. Yeah. Not happy with it at all, you know. I think I'll sell it. Did we ever do it with that mechanical lubricator? Because it isn't working. What it is, it's that there. There's no oil going in the cylinder, so it's like running dry, you know, which is not good, you know. If you did that with your motor car, it wouldn't get very far, you know. You'd start making squeaky noises and stop. That might be all right now. Right. Traction engine. Donald were right, you know. Should have sold the lot and bought a stamp collection. You can carry it about in your back pocket. And it's worth just as much money.
Fred's steersman is retired miner Alf Molyneux, and all of this is a bit new for him.
Hurry up. Don't go near that pavement. Go in here a bit, put some coal on. Come on, wind it a little, eh?
There's entrance here.
Eh?
There's entrance.
Dentist.
Right. There's entrance. Keep clear.
Oh, yeah, well,
Right.
we'll not be here that long.
You don't want blocking, do you?
No. This is the life, isn't it? Life on the open road, yeah. You see why they invented diesel engines?
These things weren't really designed to be driven in traffic like this. and 11 tons moving at around 10 miles an hour doesn't stop in a hurry. It's hot, thirsty work. Time for some refreshments soon.
Yeah, bloody sign weren't there.
Over there. All right, here.
How long's camped out there with
Oh.
Sue?
Just park here.
At least it's got the locals interested.
You're clear there.
Eh?
Blocks in.
Well, they made this jacket, but you can't put your glasses in top pocket. It must be 10 or
12.
14 miles to here. Yeah. Considering we're not doing too bad. It's 3:30.
It's all right for you, you only leave at push.
I have to stop it though when it's going too fast. I think we'll get to this open cast mine. They might all have gone home, but we'll get there, you know.
Tea time already, and they're still 4 or 5 miles away from the mine.
Where's the rake gone?
I hope they've not left yet. That's your fault.
This is the man who owns the mine. I've forgotten his name.
Stuart.
Eh? Stuart, yeah. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to have a club tonight then?
Well, we're not that bothered. Is there a good pub near your pit?
Yeah, not far away.
Has it got a decent car park?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're right then.
You won't mind you parking up.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
I'll see you about midnight then.
Have you not that bloody far, is it? It was supposed to be a surprise visit, you know.
Right.
He gives me coal, this lad, you know. I don't have to pay for it, he gives it me.
You don't hear.
It's been a long, hard day, and it's all been a bit of a disappointment. Time to find somewhere to stop for the night.
There's something amiss somewhere, you know. It should go better than it is doing. Number one, the mechanical lubricators fell off altogether now, you know. It's hanging on top of the boiler.
Yeah.
The thing is, we've hardly any coal left. You know, we've earned out coal. You know, like the steamroller, we've got the big firing shovel, we've forgotten that, we've forgotten the big rake. With all the excitement, we've forgotten half the tackle.
But are they going to be able to park up here?
Would it offend you if we parked our machine at the end of your car park?
Of course it will.
Eh?
No, it'll be fine.
Because we'll sleep with it tonight, you know, we'll come and have a pint with you.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, you would stay overnight?
Eh? Oh, yeah, don't leave that, you know. It took 27 years and 2 divorces to get it to the States. It's not performed as well as I thought it would be. Some of the teething troubles, I think. You know, it's like there's something come loose somewhere, I think. It goes better backwards than forwards. There's something amiss.
It's not run away, this. We can hold it back.
can hold
You
it,
are?
we can hold it.
No, we can hold it back.
You're bloody kidding, mate.
No, it's not so heavy.
This van weighs nearly 3 tons, so there's going to be a lot of hard work in store.
We burned a bit on way here. The end of a perfect day, you know. We found a nice pub that does grub, and it looks nice and safe, you know, for the engine. And you know, we'll spend the night here before we go to the open cast coal mine in the morning. So good night. So see you later.
It's 6 a.m. Time to get steam up.
What sort of weight is this, Fred?
It's a 8 ton.
8 tons.
Mostly in motion, isn't it?
Is that what you want in here?
Yeah. We've got a
Jimmy Crooks, another retired mining friend, is following in his car to provide the backup.
Not power-assisted steering.
No. Plenty playing this steer.
Hey Fred, you need an MOT for one of these?
Not an MOT, it's...
But
the boiler inspection, you know.
Did you have a look at it, see if it's roadworthy?
Yeah, well, no, they never. That's the funny thing. They never actually ask you about its mechanical condition. They're only interested in it in the boiler blowing up. And of course, there's some of them are positively dangerous when it comes to going down big hills and all that. Nobody asks you about the state of the gears or
the brakes,
the brakes and all that. Like, yeah, some of them have no brakes. Like
only two gears.
yeah, for the Riveters. Slow and very slow. Oh.
Shovel's here, Jimmy. It probably spread this, doesn't it? Eh? Where are we now, Jimmy?
Billinge.
Billinge. Well, where's this bloody Dire Straits place he keeps on about?
Eh?
Fred keeps saying we're in Dire Straits.
Oh no,
I hope we're not going to it.
that's what we was in yesterday.
I mean, it's the longest journey we've been on it. And I think really, considering we didn't leave till lunchtime and we were here at 7 o'clock and it's what, 10, 14 mile or something like that. With all the things that went wrong, I think we did bloody well get here.
How's that? Good as new, that.
So hopefully it'll be a bit quicker today.
Maybe, yeah. I can't promise you nothing.
Can't go yet.
No, we're not going. We've got to have a brew, haven't we?
The lady's making
Well,
a brew.
we've got to have a brew and get some water in boiler.
Give us key,
Where
Fred.
can we get water
Give
from?
us key at locked doors.
Key for locked door. Don't know.
Well, it's not in the doors. All right, it might be in there.
We haven't used it this morning.
I might have hung it up on a nail in there. Aye, it's all about the joys of traction engine owning.
Well, it's a day late, but they've only got another 2 miles to go, so they should be at the open cast soon.
Straighten it up.
Oh, we made it.
This morning, believe it or not, it's performed very well. You know, we've not run out of steam, we've not run out of oil, and also we haven't forgot the rake for blinkering the fire. And oops, wait a minute. What have I done? I've done something very silly. I got carried away and the bloody boiler's going to be full up to the top. As soon as we move it, woof, woof out at the funnel. We're not concentrating, you see. We're acting as well as trying to do this. It's a big thing for a brain like I've got.
What's happened is that Fred has injected too much water into the boiler.
Yeah, these people, Jack, you're on and off the bloody thing, you know. Give us the spanner back.
This means that water will get sucked into the cylinder with the steam, and that's not very good for the engine. So he's going to have to open a valve near the bottom of the boiler to get some of the boiling water out.
Can you see out?
No, I can't see nothing.
No, I just think, you know, there were 70 odd coal mines around here in the 1950s.
A lot of employment
Yeah, really.
around here, weren't
Coal industry in Lancashire were mainly round Wigan and Atherton Lee, and basically for the cotton industry and all. And slowly but surely, in 1960s, it all but disappeared. Nothing at all left of it. And how many thousand men worked in it, you know?
Well, I think there were a spell when everyone would be connected in one way or another to the coal industry. There was
mining,
that, innit?
yeah.
But today, fewer than 500 people work in the mining and quarrying industries combined. One of the only places left where coal is still extracted is this open cast site.
Do you think it would have been dark down here, Fred, when there was
I'm sure, yeah.
working?
Yeah. Well, with them little one candle power oil lamps that they have there.
It used to be a proper coal mine, and this passageway was once part of the underground workings.
You're not coming back round here, will you?
No, it'll be all right, Fred.
All right. Look at that, yeah.
Cut it quite straight though, didn't they, to
Yeah,
be
well,
fair? They
yeah.
did a good job.
Right, sides are flat.
They left a
haven't
coal roof here.
they? Yeah.
But you'd have thought they'd have worked wider.
I'd have thought they'd have been wider than this.
Yeah, but they've worked it without props. So they've obviously took as much as they do. There's no props in it at all.
And we're wider.
What
no
age are these workings? Any ideas?
They're around the 1930s.
What's that seam up there?
Well, if you look at the top there,
Yeah.
that's the Wigan 5-foot seam.
Right.
And what they did with that, as you can see, they've got a good sandstone roof on it.
Yeah.
So they've took most of the coal. They've left very little coal in that.
Did you not find nothing? No artifacts of any kind?
Found a few rails and
Oh,
a
did
couple
it?
of tubs.
Oh, right.
And the only thing we found in the Wigan 4-foot is a few bones, which we think was the ponies.
No.
Yeah.
Good jobbing.
Yeah. Never seen the like
He
of
went down and never come back up. Well, Chelsea with no roof on them when it had a roof, innit? Look at that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's a fair crack, innit?
Yeah. That's had a bit of weight on it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, up, Fred, he'll drop on your head.
Oh, we'll get a degree in geology. Yeah. Yeah.
There's going to be none left soon, though, Fred. This could be the last
degrees?
I'm saying.
open casting. It's
Is
the
it?
last one in Lancashire now.
Like the chimney job, you know. We'll never be doing any more. Manchester Evening News, this is your last one, innit? So, no, if I can bloody help it, didn't, you know. Like, yeah.
And now we go and get coal in there, Al.
With difficulty, I imagine, we're going to have to find something to push it to back. I've no doubt Stuart or somebody will find a couple of mugs to hold it.
Me and you.
And then you can just stick the job up with it. It's the bit spading all day.
We'll not fill it to the top that bloody size of bag.
As ex-miners, Alf and Jimmy are both on familiar ground here.
Because it's shoveling coal, they don't want to have a go.
You get to the pub, is it first in?
Oh, they're first in at full back.
Hey, Alf! I found a rabbit hole. A bull's hole.
There's not enough props up there for me.
Throw some of them bags up by me.
You ready, Jim?
Yeah.
And if I catch your boat oil lamp again, you're in trouble.
Where's Fred?
Fred? Well, Jimmy said he's gone pub half an hour since. He's shoved me back now because that's last bag.
Belly's too big, really.
You want some assistance?
Yeah, stop there.
You want me to get it down?
No, just stop there.
Right.
Oh,
How you doing, man?
you've not come back, but you know
Yeah.
just put last bag in.
Well, there's plenty of room there now. For if we get a wheel,
Jimmy said he'd gone pub.
no. If we get a wheelbarrow now, he's coming with some bags, so we'll get some more in. But if we got a wheelbarrow and shovel and boom, was it all up top, you know?
We'll show you when we're on the last shovel full and come on and do
I
that.
won't go with them, these workings. Alright, anyway, we'd better set off there for Astley Green.
Yeah.
At Astley Green, they've got a great big winding engine and a pit headgear. And we're going there for camp out overnight, and then we're going, we're off to the Lake District next. Are you ready?
When you yeah.
I'll try, I'll see if I
Climb
can
aboard.
climb up. Yeah.
Next stop is the Astley Green Mining Museum. But first, they've got a problem which needs some urgent attention. Because, as well as coal, water is fundamental to generating steam power. If it runs low, which it is doing now, they'll be in big trouble. So they'll have to find some quickly.
Get all the tap load quick, right? Yeah. We've got a standpipe for hydrants now. Them hydrants are very important things. And the water people haven't been round and lifted lid off for 10 years. Eventually, they end up full of mud up to the top. And you arrive in your steamroller and you lift lid up and it's just mud. Don't overdo it. There's a lot of pressure in there.
What would have happened if you'd not found one just then?
Well, we could blow the plug out and we'd be here all night then, you know. Get sacked on railway if you do that, like you did it. We're saved. Right? What you do is put the tap handle down, turn it on and blast all the mud out, you know, so you've actually done the fire brigade and the water company a favour. You've cleaned out the hydrant for it free of charge. Bad news, then. Turn it down. I've had one irate guy on a bicycle, you know, one of them little types. This is illegal and what you're doing here and all that, like pinching water off the North West Water Authority. Yeah. You know, I still say you're doing a good turn, you know, the water people. It's capable of doing 50 miles on one fill up of water. And it's always circumstances, you know, like all along flat, no hydrants. And then you come suddenly over the crest of an hill, it's a bloody great hole, you know, and the water disappears. Off the railway men are pretty fortunate because it's probably level. With a traction engine, you don't know what's round next corner, you know. You should have a dipstick really, but I've not got round to that yet.
When you go up like.
Hey up! Quick, guide the hydrant.
Go that way instead of this way.
There's a safety plug at the bottom of the boiler just above the firebox. If they'd not filled up in time, this would have melted and put the fire out. Then they wouldn't have been able to move the engine from here until the plug had been replaced. And that's a big job. In 1950, there were 70 collieries around here, employing 55,000 people. But from the mid-1950s, the industry went into decline as the pits began to be closed. Now, only the Astley Green Mining Museum survives to tell the tale of coal mining around here. It houses Lancashire's only surviving pit headgear and engine house.
Yeah, right, I think we'll stop here for tonight and do a few repairs tomorrow. Eh?
Yeah. And have something to eat. I could eat a bloody flock bed.
Have a look round at the winding engine. Eh?
Yeah.
And climbed up there once, you know. I'll just turn this off. They had a lot of bother in 1908 when they sunk it. The water. It's
yeah.
7/8 line with cast iron tubbing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lady Pilkington of Pilkington Glass fame
The glass
cut the first sod in 1908.
I can remember riding in here.
Oh.
I worked here for a spell in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was coal winding shaft, this.
Hey, coal.
Coal winding shaft. Yeah,
It must be one of the biggest, you know, that's been around, you know, eh?
Yeah.
When you look at it, it must weigh a few hundred ton, eh?
I believe they're in the process of getting monies together for get it repainted and refurbished properly.
Bed really up, you can see a few holes in it.
It's worth saving, there isn't many left now.
There's none left round here, is there?
No, there's none round here, but...
This is the last one in Lancashire apart from ours.
There isn't that many.
Apart from ours.
In the country, is there?
It's got to be worth a big grant from lottery people.
Yeah.
Keep it stood up, you know. If you want it, open a ballet school, there'd be millions for you, you know, but not for paint something like that. Which has kept a lot of families in bread and butter for a long time.
Yeah.
Ever go and have a look at winding house?
If you want, yeah. Oh, it's a firm machine, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
You only ever made 3, you know. One for here, one for Yorkshiremen, and one for Africa. But this is the only one that survived. They were putting a bit of ale on it, weren't they?
Biggest in Europe, this, isn't it?
Eh?
It's the biggest in Europe.
I would think it must be one of the biggest steam winders in the world. Really, if you think about it. The fur castings, them, how did they get them from Blackburn to here?
With difficulty, I imagine.
Yeah, traction engine.
I'll tell you, they put some work in these off the green lads on this engine, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
Besides that, what a connecting rod.
Yeah. Fur job, isn't it? Want to have a closer look.
What are you doing, getting it bloody cylinder?
Eh?
Are you climbing in cylinders?
Well, no, I'm just looking at the ginormity of it all, you know.
Have you got a spanner to fit there?
The key in here and all the tattle, you know. You could have a game of tennis in between cylinders, couldn't you?
The power to turn the winder came from 16 Lancashire boilers, but all these have been cast aside and they'll never raise steam again.
We managed to get 3 Lancashire boilers. You know, looking too bad a nick, do they really?
No, it's pretty good. What's inside like?
I don't know until you go in. You got undo that door and have a look inside. This one here is a modern one, this one. Look at that. Corrugated flue tubes, you know, inside. So that were for the expansion and contraction.
You'd be able to change tubes on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's less and less work in it, if you say. It's the front plate is one big pressing. Others have got all this stuff riveted to it, you know.
Yeah.
I bet that's as late as 1960s or 50 something, you know.
That one looks in damn good nick, doesn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
They're all 3 of them different. There've been a few men killed with these, you know, rolling round, you know.
I imagine.
Yeah.
You don't know what's wrong with them, do you, have they yet?
Well, it's easy to get inside. I could tell you what's wrong with that. You undo them, you can get right along bottom in between these 2 fire tubes, and then on top there's another big door that you can get in, and you can walk along top. The thing is, you've got to look for big, deep pit holes, and then these here, see these?
Well, them's pressure tested, same as your boiler.
Oh yeah, just same. Yeah. See these here? Inside there was 2 pieces of angle iron, then a bloody great lump of inch plate, and then if you look on the outside, there's more rivets, isn't there? And you see on the outside.
Yeah.
Well, them are called gusset stairs, and they stopped that weak area there being pushed out.
Pushed out.
Oof, a mammoth piece of boiler making. Let's go for our tea, come on.
Go for our tea.
Next day, they've got a long journey ahead as they head for West Cumbria in search of the mines that provided the iron ore for an engine like this. And Alf's still trying to get the hang of his steering.
All the way.
I'm watching it.
Yeah, but when you do that, you go out the way over there.
And for the engine, there are big challenges ahead as Fred and Alf negotiate some of the hills of the Lake District on their way to the iron ore mine near Whitehaven. And there's a pleasant little interlude on a steam yacht on Lake Windermere. With 100 miles already covered, Fred Dibnah has now reached the Lake District. on his grand tour of Britain's industrial past.
My eldest son Jack's come over from the Isle of Man, you know, give us a lift on this trip. And really, where we're going on, I think we need all the help we can get. We've got Jimmy in the support vehicle behind us, you know, like we're stopping so frequently through lack of steam and smoke up hills. A pair of flashing lights behind is a must on country lanes like this. The Lake District isn't really an area that most people associate with our industrial past and heavy industry. But once upon a time, around Wookington and Barrow-in-Furness, you know, there were great industrial centres, and they mined iron ore by the hundreds of tons, and it was some of the best iron ore in all of England, you know. And alas, it's all gone now, you know. Bit sad, really. But while we're up here, we're calling on a mate of mine, Mr. Richard Ransom, who's also a fellow traction engine owner and steam engine enthusiast, to do a few running repairs, because it's giving me trouble, you know. I'm a bit disappointed in it.
The trouble is, in all the hurry to get the engine on the road, Fred didn't really have time to do all the fine-tuning he would have liked. So he keeps coming across these little problems that need to be sorted out.
It isn't steaming very well at all. I think the fact that piston rods, it's my fault, you know, I put the cylinder block a bit too far forward.
There you go.
And I know for a fact that the piston, the high pressure piston, covers the portholes up when it's in the forward position, which means that, you know, when it's supposed to be working, the steam can't get at it proper, you know. So what I'm going to do is, when I get to Mr. Ransom's, I'm going to beg him to use his workshop and shorten the piston rods by about 1/4 of an inch.
Are you going to get to Dick's all right then?
Well, there's another big hill yet.
Fred knows some good steam engine men up here who he's going to be able to get some help and advice from. But he's got to get there first. Fred's engine is a 4-horsepower model built to pull around 15 tons. But right now, it's struggling to pull 2.
This is ridiculous, isn't it?
Bottom gear job.
At least the scenery is good. It's time for a rethink. Fortunately, Fred's friend Dick Ransom has arrived, and he's got a plan.
Because we're a bit worried as to whether the engine would get the van up. So Dick's got one of his mates to come and rescue it, you know, pull it up with a Land Rover. Yeah. It's a bit of an insult to our engine, but...
Just a bit of insurance, Fred.
Well, when we get there, we're going to do some running repairs, aren't
Absolutely,
we?
Yeah. Make it well again.
Any man who never did it, never took the risk.
Never was a man, was he?
When you think we had boiler in about 5 different pieces, 3 times, you know, before we finally riveted it together. Yeah. They must have lost them at somewhere. Anyway, I think, you know, if we do what we say, I think it'll be all right.
Well, we'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Well, you're right.
That's a bit easier, without the living van in tow.
Right, you just pull forward a bit, Jace, on your right now.
Very hard to back up a 4-wheel wagon. I didn't know that.
It's doing very well.
Getting you right now.
Yeah. It's been such a disappointing journey that we're going to have to, in the morning when it's cooled down, you know, take the cylinder end covers off and weigh up how much we can take off the end of the piston rod. And hopefully he'll help me. I know he'll help me, I know he will do that, because I've known him a long time. Something happened, we lost the nuts and they never got put back, you know, so I hope it's not. So,
Never mind losing your nuts.
Thank you, Mr. Ransom.
That's all right, Mr. D.
God.
God bless you.
Have you got another crate full?
Yeah, I will soon bought some.
Good help.
Good
Why
elf.
have you not got one?
I don't. I'm a bitter man.
Oh, all right.
I don't. I'm not a reach stout fella. Well, I am in stature.
Good elf.
Good elf, Red.
What one? What cock?
Moving it.
All right, so I'll get out your way then. Whoa, that's full forward. Now, you can see the point there, can't you?
Yeah.
But is it enough, you know? I don't think that's healthy looking, is it?
No, but you see what I mean? It's in that recess, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
not healthy looking, no. It is, it's too long, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we've got to shorten, maybe leave this one.
Well, just about covering it up, isn't it?
I reckon about a quarter of an inch easy.
Yeah.
It'll make it so the steam comes in a lot better than it is doing.
Just hold it there, Jack. Just back a bit. Whoa. Yeah, go on, Jack.
You know, we've got Roger coming, who's quite a leading authority
absolutely,
on steam engines. He actually makes steam engines for rich people's steam yachts, you know, for Lake Windermere and everywhere else. Turn it back again, Jack.
Morning. Way, money.
Yeah? What have you found there?
We've got a problem.
You've got a nest in there, have you?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Can you lift me up then?
Right.
You think the whole crosshead, the whole piston rod, the whole lot?
Yeah,
up
it's
this
too
way?
far forward.
There is a slight clearance.
Yeah, but it goes, you know, like bugger all, you know, nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it works it.
Yeah.
If you put it in, if it's 200 on the clock,
Yeah.
and you open the regulator, it's even reluctant to start without the double I. Yeah, well, what do you think, Roger? You know.
Generally, it's not in bad condition. I'm a bit worried about the way the piston is covering the port opening in the cylinder, so that when the valve opens, there is no room for the steam to get through.
Yeah.
So what I propose doing is lending you a high-speed burr and machining a lot of the iron out of the cylinder round the port.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to go down to my boat. And if later in the day you fancy coming out for a run,
Yeah,
then,
I love that. Get me away from
I'll
this
sit away
thing.
and have get something that works.
Yeah. All right,
It's
then.
nice to see you anyway.
See you later, Roger.
Yeah. Bye.
Ta-ra. Good afternoon, Roger. Have you got steam up? Oh yeah, blowing off. Yeah. We're ready for our trip round the lake. Right.
Well, Shamrock, she was built in 1906 by shepherds of Bowness.
Yeah.
Wealthy families, such as, I think I'm right in saying that the families like Beatrix Potter's family used to come and take the castle for the summer season, and the boat would be part of the hiring. And then eventually Second World War came along, and the numbers of people that could afford to do this sort of thing had gone, and immediately after the war it had its lovely steam plant removed, it had a TVO engine fitted, and then about 10 years later it went one step worse and had a diesel engine fitted, and all this lovely boiler casing and everything was removed. The whole boat lost its dignity.
Yeah.
And until 1976, it was just lying derelict because nobody wanted to go out in an old-fashioned boat like this. You know, the awful 60s and 70s. You know, old was not wanted.
Yeah, wanted a white
And
plastic
so
one.
it just laid around empty, no engine, no anything. It was just a hulk. Roger obtained it, and it took 3 years almost to get the boat back into its original concept.
That's
We have some
beautiful, isn't it,
wonderful
this?
times, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is the way to go, isn't it?
It
I
is.
mean, the modern diesel is
Yeah,
very
yeah.
good, but it's not like
Bum,
this,
bum, bum,
is
bum,
it?
bum, bum, bum,
Yeah,
bum,
I
bum,
mean,
bum, bum.
there's really no sound at all, is there? There's no feel, there's no motion, there's nothing.
I believe you've finally mended my gramophone.
Oh, I did, but it isn't a gramophone, it's a phonograph.
Phonograph.
It's a 1905 Edison Gem Mark B phonograph, and it's clockwise, of course, and it's got a lovely aluminium horn. This is new, that's new. The cylinder is made of wax, it's also 1905. It's an Edison Bell cylinder. They were made in this country. Most cylinders you can get hold of are American, but this is English, you know, and we'll see if it'll go. I think that's not up to speed, but we'll soon see. Look at slow, does that? Do you like it?
No, it's wonderful, yeah. Them lads who recorded that will not be around, will they?
I doubt it. If they are, they'll be smelly, won't they?
Brilliant.
Did you like that? There we are.
Now back to work on the engine. Will the engine doctor be able to cure the problem?
No, Roger's got his handheld milling cutter, and we're going to put a chamfer on the ports so that when the piston is, you know, in its full forward position, steam can come past the end of it. You know, we think it's a different piston that's too thick, and it's covering the port up, you know, when it comes forward. Maybe doing the same going backwards, you know.
Now for the big test. Is the engine going to work any better?
We're now off to Egremont and the last deep iron ore mine in Europe that still works. And when we get there, we should find out whether our running repair is a success. Won't mind it.
The work of the engine doctor seems to have done the trick.
Iron ore production in Cumbria reached its peak in the 1880s, and there were over 300 iron ore shafts. Back then, the industry employed over 5,000 people in Cumbria.
We've made it.
Today, there's just 3, and they're at Florence.
Gilbert's here too.
You come up the hill with the brakes on again.
Well, Fred, we've been waiting a couple of hours for you.
Yeah, well,
I'm pleased you got here. We're ready to go down the pit.
It's a long way from where we come from. I've forgotten it's too that long.
No, it's only got it down the straight for the last couple of days.
Yeah, but we've got here, that's the main thing. They don't like hills, this thing, you know. They don't like hills, there's plenty of them.
Well, I hope you like hills, because we've got a cap lamp and a helmet
yeah,
in
I
here
know,
for
and a
you.
big hill down underground, yeah. Have you got your incline railway going yet?
Yes.
The mine is still a commercial operation, and the ore they mine here is used to make pigments for the dye that goes into paints.
Keep your heads and your backs down, lads.
Yeah.
A bit more than that, Fred.
You know, we were a great big mining industry around here. We had about between 200 and 300 iron ore mines.
How many men?
And, well, there would be, in this pit alone at the start of the Second World War, there'd be 1,000 men.
Yeah. This one pit?
Aye. In fact, we've got 11 shafts here.
Yeah.
And this is the site of number 3 Ulcourt shaft.
Yeah.
This one was sunk in 1905.
Yeah, when you were sinking this drift down, or you know, an heading like this, how much powder would you use for, you know, advance sort of?
Well, you went for a 5-foot advance
Yeah.
every shift, and you would use 20 to 30 pounds of explosive, a fairly high explosive, and of course detonators. The men worked in companies, which would either be 2s or 3s, and their daily routine would be for the blast at the end of the shift, really for to get the fumes clear. We favoured spraying into the air a mixture of compressed air, water and castor oil of all things. It's a great media for the kill dust. Yeah.
Castor oil, eh? Keep you regular, that, wouldn't it? Have you still got that exotic order here, see? Yeah, look at them.
Oh, they're in fine growth there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Don't know whether we can harvest them.
Have you tried any in the pan?
And of course, this is where we come to the ore.
Yeah.
Remember as well, of course, that there were those 200 to 300 mines, perhaps all owned by different companies, and all selling to different ironworks. And they were vying with each other for quality and price. It was a very competitive area to be in, and a competitive industry to be in.
And this isn't a little steam engine down here. Machinery like this in the mine is powered by compressed air.
Right, well, in here we've got our Atlas Copco loader.
Yeah.
It's powered by compressed air.
Well, it's lovely.
It does indeed.
Yeah.
It has a bucket on the front, and it loads into its own body.
Yeah.
And when it's full, we travel it back to the top of the ore pass, and we can tilt the body up. The rear door opens, and we tilt it so that the load drops into the ore pass. Marvellous machine, isn't it? Yeah. It is that.
How old is it?
That's a good question. We first got them at Halemoor in '66, I would say. So it would be brand new in about 1966.
Vintage vehicle.
Yeah. All our ore went to be made into pig iron and then steel.
Yeah.
Some at Workington and some down at Millom, which was a one industry town. Fred, come and have a look at this in the roof here. It's as good as an example of kidney ore you'll see anywhere in the world. Tremendous ore.
Magnificent.
All round here. 80% iron. Almost good enough for to make hematite jewellery out of.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit like onion skins.
Yeah,
see the thin layers? You need thick layers for to make good jewellery.
Yeah.
We don't get much of it nowadays.
Well, you know, how was it formed, that sort of style?
Well, I don't think we've solved how it has been
nobody
formed.
knows,
No, I don't think so. It just appears randomly in the body of the ore.
Yeah. Yeah, there's tons of it around here, isn't there?
Well, there is, Fred, but we've got to leave it for there for the time being, I think.
Right. Is it back to the surface?
Have you got plenty of photographs, Terry?
That just finishes Fred's job up. He likes his brass and copper polished up nicely. And then later on we're going to get steam up and shoot off to Workington Steelworks, where all the iron ore from Florence went to. It was running better. I mean, it'll have a good trial today when we steam off to Workington. I've a bit more to do yet before he comes, because he likes to see it gleaming. Just wipe the paintwork over and then we're ready for off and getting it all dirty again, ready for polishing tomorrow.
It's running very well, actually. On not reasonable level roads, it's all right. Just when you come to a big steepen, and it's like motor cars, you've got to change gear. Nice to see you here. We're now injecting. That means we're putting water in the boiler. When it's gone up about an inch, we'll set off. I'm ready for a pint of my tea.
Are you stopping at Van tonight?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, right. So,
Yeah.
So we're both stopping at Van?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, not bloody leaving it on its own.
Next morning, it's off to the steelworks to see where the raw material that was mined at Florence was turned into a product.
All the ore mined at the Florence mine came here to the Workington Steelworks, where it were converted by Bessemer converters into steel to manufacture railway lines. 95% of the UK's railway line were rolled here at Workington. And I don't think there's a railway in all the world that's not got Workington steel stamped on the side of its track.
Today, most of it is rolled in this modern computer-controlled rolling mill. But what Fred was interested in seeing was the old hand-rolling mill, which is still used for small, light and narrow-gauge railways.
But this is the last very small rolling mill in the country now.
Pretty ancient, that, isn't it?
It is very, very old. So this was driven by a steam engine, and this was taken out some years ago. But it still works, and we still get a good saleable product from this mill.
Where with the steam engine?
Yes, in the drive.
Very similar to what I remember when I was a bit younger in Bolton.
Was that all manual operation?
Yeah, but they used to let me have a go, but it was bloody harder than it was.
Can I suggest that we go around to the front of the process and then we'll have a look at the slab. Comes down to this door, down this chute. Up again.
How long do these lads do it before they get a break?
Well, it depends on about... She's off now, he says. But so they'll have like an hour on, then half an hour off, rotate around to an easier job to try and make sure that they're not all on the same job all the time.
That's in your bloody short there. They have couches in this rolling mill they were at. You were that nice. You're
Right, you ought to never be asleep by now.
Yeah, I know.
That's coming towards the end of its life. This is the future in the sense of this is the 113 pound rail that we do for network rail. This is the future of making sure that we have good, consistent rail manufacturing.
Good for Great Britain.
That's right, look, Great Britain.
Like a great snake, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's not a pub across road, there are about 4 bloody pubs.
Oh, there's one left. Yeah.
We can't
only do it to orders, really.
Is he happy now? No, he wants to drink a cold water. In 1962, the steel industry employed around 5,000 people in Workington. Now there are just 200 employees.
Most of the old ways of working have gone forever. But down at a local pub, Fred met some of the former workers to find out what it used to be like.
That mill that you saw, where they're doing it by hand, we always referred to it as number 2 mill.
We had a rolling mill in Bolton up till about 20 years ago.
Right.
And it was steam driven with a vertical steam engine. Your men had a rougher time. Still today, they had bloody couches and easy chairs. And when they'd done so many passes, they all like flopped into them. And they had a propeller off an aeroplane, written with a belt, going round and round, keeping them cool.
Now, we had the Solway Colliery, and it closed. And we lads, we worked in the Bessemer, in the steelmaking plant. And these colliers got a start in the Bessemer shop. And do you know how long they lasted? 1 day. And the reason was, it's too dangerous here. Oh. And I thought, these are miners who are working, what, 3 mile under the sea?
It's all them sparks.
Yeah, it was, Fred, that's right. Yeah.
It's quite frightening, really, isn't it, if you watch it. You know, if you realise what could happen to you, you know, if it went wrong.
Oh, you would be.
Yeah.
Well, I was one of a group who was injured in 1962 when this ladle of iron fell. This shackle had been used, which wasn't really supposed to be used. It was a bit like the straw that broke the camel's back. But it was only a small emergency ladle with 4 ton in, but of course came down. And oddly enough, I was in charge of the job at the time, and I got knocked down in the rush. And you sort of automatically put your hands out to save yourself. And even though I was an under manager, if you like, I'd never been frightened to use a shovel, and I had fairly horny hands. And I remember the skin started peeling off like blotting paper, and I'd only had my first card about 3 weeks before, and I thought, oh Christ, I'm not going to be able to drive the bloody car.
It bloody hurts, doesn't it, you know?
One of the first jobs, the boys, when they came in the Bessemer at 14 or 15, was taking the sample from the pitch side to the laboratory for chemical analysis. And what they used to do was, they a bent bit of wire, maybe about 1/4 of an inch diameter, and they used to carry it in that, you say. Well, this little chap, George Dickinson, you remember George, and he wanted a Jimmy Riddle, you say. So he's standing in behind tin sheets at pitch side, and he has this bloody thing in his hand, and he happened to catch it, you see, and of course he burned it. So he went over to the ambulance station, and he said, I've burnt my pencil. So they bandaged it up, but they didn't leave him a hole at the end.
Bloody hell. Who's going to tell them? We've run out.
Well, I'll
It's
go.
been a warm and
I'll
dusty
volunteer.
day with the steam machinery, you know.
Are you driving?
What's
Fred? I
yours?
know you don't drive, do you?
Well, you
Oh,
are.
I drive it. Well, these two don't like do
I thought
that.
you were
They
having
can
a
only
line,
steer
but-
it.
I have to keep off the house.
Keep it in the dark.
Who's done all the bloody polishing? You?
Ah, well, that's your job.
Now there's a long drive ahead as Fred and Alf head through the Scottish borders on their way from West Cumbria to Bowness on the Firth of Forth. They'll be visiting an iron foundry to find out more about the casting process and the foundryman's trade. And while they're in Scotland, Fred will be driving his engine over the Forth Road Bridge. Fred Dibnah and his steersman Alf Molyneux have now reached the Scottish borders on their epic steam-powered tour to discover Britain's industrial past. They're on their way from West Cumbria to Bowness on the Firth of Forth.
We're now in Scotland and we're heading for the foundry to find out more about the casting process and foundrymen. castings are a very important part of a traction engine. The cylinder block, the cylinder end covers, and of course the pistons are all made from cast iron. Like even the hubcaps over the wheels are made from cast iron. The business at the front where the steering gear is made from cast iron.
The running repairs they made in Cumbria appear to have been a success, and the engine is now running well, which is a good thing, as they've still got more than 50 miles to go today.
You know, there's some quite long journeys involved in it that will be pretty uneventful, really, other than waving to people as they pass by, like. And then there's always the unplanned for, you know, things that happen, like you get invited into people's houses and things like that, which can be quite dangerous, you know. You end up pouring whiskey down your throat and all that sort of thing. Happened to me before that, you know. We'll just bring it round to our house so we can take a picture of it in front of the house, and ended up at a party, you know. Weddings, we've done weddings, you know. 10 miles. Right, we'll go off the engine. Or get arrested by one of them funny men in a blue suit.
Yes, one of them Masons.
Long thin stick.
That's when Glasgow was the second city of the empire.
Yeah.
It was all engineering. Glasgow was just one massive foundry, just foundries
Big engineers.
everywhere.
One of the best engineers in the world come from London, isn't it? Yeah.
This is a petition for our man. Yeah. I'll sign that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. My father was a miner. Mechanic. You're it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a talk, but everybody was that pissed, nobody understood what I was talking about.
With the engine's belly tank full up with water, they're ready for the road again.
We're now in Falkirk, which of course was the place where the Industrial Revolution in Scotland all started. And here, a great iron foundry called the Carron Iron Works that were opened in 1760. After 30 years, it employed 1,000 men and became the biggest iron smelting plant in the whole of Europe. It was here James Watt's first castings for his earliest engines were manufactured.
Although there's not much of it left now, this area was the cradle of the steam revolution, where Watt built some of the first steam engines. And Watt wasn't the only pioneering engineer working in these parts.
This boat behind me is a 3/4 size copy of the world's first steam-powered vessel, you know, and it was designed by an engineer called William Symington. It's called the Charlotte Dundas, and the engine for it was built at the Carron Iron Works, where Symington was the chief engineer. And it was actually designed to pull barges on a canal, which it did quite successfully. The horizontal engine in it was far in front of its time. In 1803, it pulled 2 barges laden with 70 tons along a 20-mile stretch of the Forth and Clyde Canal at 3.5 miles an hour, you know, which is really faster than what we're doing with the traction engine. Built by the Mackenzie Ship and Boat Yard, eh? The canal owners were very concerned about the wash from the engine or the paddles, and it never really went into service. You know, what a shame, you know. It could have, you know, it's so long ago, 1803. He fell in the canal and drowned, you know. Here where the Charlotte Dundas is moored on the canal, there's a modern wonder of engineering, you know, the Falkirk wheel, the world's one and only revolving boat lift. And it's so simple, you know, it makes you wonder why nobody ever thought of it before. It was officially opened by the Queen in 2002. and it did away with the leaden locks that covered an height of 115 feet from the top canal to this canal down here. At each revolution, it moves 600 tons of water, and the machinery involved are 10 hydraulic motors, and they're unbelievably efficient. You know, they say that there's the same amount of energy used each revolution as there is in boiling 2 kettles of water. I'd better go and relieve my mate Elf now, who's been faithfully looking after the engine. I'm off for a cheese butty. Pull in a bit. We're just trying too hard, and there's a big hill. What? If we were on the level, we'd be okay with the water level in the boiler as it is, but we've got to go down this hill, which could uncover the crown of the firebox, melting the fusible plug, which means we could be here all night instead of having a pint in about half an hour, you know. Which that's where we're going to, where that flame is burning on the horizon. It's that operation we did up in Cumbria on it, when we planed that 5/16 off the edge of the steam port. Made a hell of a difference.
So they need to find some water quickly. Right at the last minute, help is at hand.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like getting it straight from the men from the waterboard.
Oh, aye, they'll be coming out at funnel.
I think I need a drink. Thanks very much, chap.
An engine like this is a rare sight around here, but in the early 1900s there were tens of thousands of them steaming around Britain's roads. It had a good long run today, so how's Fred feeling about the performance of the engine now?
Well, we're getting better. It's run in now. We've had some good spells of maybe 14 mile an hour of things, speeds like that. If you keep 200 pounds on the clock, and it seems to accelerate up hills now, which it wouldn't do, would it, when we were in Cumbria, you know. There's nothing dropped off it, you know, that's the main thing. We'll wrap it up and go for a pint, I think, usual style.
But a traction engine's not like a car, and before they can go to the pub at the end of the day, there's always plenty of work to do. Tonight, there's a few nuts that need tightening.
So it's in a better position. 2 minutes. Staying at railway workshops is a very handy place to break down at. You know. We're not really broke down. I mean, we could have tightened them up, but they'd have just come loose again, you know, which while we're at it, we might as well do it properly, and you just might look to drop this nut now down onto the top of the red hot firebox. Right, now then, big spanner.
Sorting out the coal and water is Alf's department.
Yeah, we can find a washer of a suitable thickness with one nail. Now we need Alex and his washer department. You know, if we can find a washer at right thickness, which there's a half a bucket full just arrived. Oh, that looks the part maybe. Right, it's right now, see.
Right.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Recommend that up against the lock nut because the two are loose together.
Yeah, they can't go any further, can they, because of the split pins?
I'm ready for finishing now. But he's got to do his repairs. We're preparing for tomorrow, basically.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of coal. We want quite a bit more yet. With some polishing to do. And sheet it up, and then it starts again tomorrow. It's nice and bright. We light the fire and muck it all up again. And then back to square one when we finish running.
You enjoying it?
Yeah. Yeah, I am, yeah. Met some cracking people up here, haven't we? Anyway, I'll have to get on with my work.
Did it come loose? Right, myself to death. This is the foundry we've been heading for, the Ballantyne and Bowness Iron Company. And it's been here since 1820 and employs over 100 people. This is it. Here they cast everything from pillar boxes to lamp standards to beautiful iron railings and, you know, for places as far away as London and maybe all over the world, you know. But, you know, looking around at the quality of the workmanship and the ornamental stuff, there can't be many places as good as what this place is, believe me.
If you come through this way, lads.
Yeah.
Through you come. Through you come.
Oh, there's some lovely tattle in here, isn't there?
Yes, it's really, really nice. This is one of our pattern stores here, Fred.
Yeah.
As you can see, we can match up just about any head with any bar, and these days that's sort of big business for us. The restoration work in parks and what have you. I don't think we've ever counted them, but I think we've got over 100,000 patterns within the foundry, so it's a lot. It's a bloody lot,
Yeah.
But many of these patterns will date back to, you know, when the foundries first started.
And you'll still have them patterns somewhere.
Absolutely. We never, ever throw any patterns that have. No, never do. Never do.
A lot of people don't realise that every one of these had to be made out of wood, didn't it, before it was made out of aluminium or cast iron.
Absolutely.
You know, there's some skill there, isn't there?
In you go, boys. In you go.
This is the pattern shop, isn't it?
This is the pattern shop, lads, aye. Life starts here. We're one of the last general jobbing foundries that's left these days, and but we're saying all sorts of things like postcards and drawings, and they go into they come into the pattern shop, and the lads like Alan here and William and Brian and the boys, they sort of turn it into reality if you want, you know. And then for here it sort of goes down to the shop to be cast. It's nice to see the sort of cast iron coming back, sort of fighting back against all the plastics and the
very
the
durable
stuff,
isn't it?
Indeed,
They don't rot away like steel.
No, indeed, indeed. Right, I'll mind your feet as you come down here. So this, Fred, this is the next stage from the pattern shop here. Once the pattern's made, they come down here into the moulding shop. I'm sure you recognise this is a bollard, a street bollard, street furniture. That's another big thing that we do. And this is, Ricky here is closing the box
the cores, aren't they?
That's right. And you can see the dark core there, so the metal sort of goes round about it. The can of soap production, Fred, we've got to let them go.
No.
Just blowing all the extra dust out so there's no any residue there. But, aye, so we do the street furniture, we do big lamp posts here. When this is our heavy end, so-called, because the larger, heavier castings are made in here. And you can see the size of the boxes, they're big. But when we move on to the next stage, you'll see a lot of the smaller castings, smaller things, you know. That's okay, mate, So when that's that, Fred, I think we should move on to the next moulding shop. You okay with that? You didn't want to fight with this boy, eh? I tell you.
No, you're bigger than me.
So this is the main moulding shop we're going through to now. This is the main moulding shop.
Jacket seems to have been set on fire a few times.
There's 3 tonne of metal in the furnace. It all arrives at once, and each different shop gets a ton, and they sort of have different turns when the metal is, just to make sure, you know, they all get an equal chance of going home a wee bit early. That's about the size of it. So that's it coming now. This will be ductile iron or spheroidal graphite, but I can't say that with my teeth. But you laughed at, what's wrong with my teeth? The metal goes into the ladle, and that's the magnesium that's making it as bright as you see it there, lads. And that'll bring all the impurities up to the top. You can't have that going into the casting, because the impurities would be in the casting. That's I'm just topping the ladle up now. There we go. So I'm getting the wheel on for pouring and tilting it until it comes into the shop there. And he's got his wee stirrer there. Come forward. Getting that. So this is the molten metal coming through into the moulding shop now. It's a bit like a pint of Guinness there, Fred, whereby all the impurities come up to the top. As you see, the furnaceman has a thing like Neptune's fork, and he takes all the slag off the top, so that we're left with the pure metal there. That's the green sand moulding plant there. It's still done in the traditional way with the hand ladles, as you see. You've got to be pretty strong to carry one of them about there. I think one of the lads was saying there's 56 pounds in it there.
And I mean, it's not as though you're just doing one, is it?
Yes,
You've got all them holes to fill up.
You've got to be a real man to do that. You think you'd be up for it these days?
Well,
you think?
up until my present state of health, I'd have been alright with
you'd
that.
be fine. I tell you, you're more of a man than me, mate. I wouldn't be able for that. Well, Brian, are you getting older, or is that getting heavier? It's getting heavier. In the end, he's going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He'll be a big, strong lad. You wouldn't let him give you a slap.
He's putting them on as well.
Oh yes. Aye. And see the height.
And then he has to take them
Can
off.
you see the height he's got to lift them? It's a man's job. The pattern will be in the box there. The box is in 2 parts. The pattern's placed in there, pulled out. You put the core in, close the box up, clamp it down, and then the metal is poured through the blowholes there. But it is really, it's just really to make sure you get a continuous flow of good quality metal.
It's the idea of like the 3 pouring holes.
Well, it's just to make sure that you get an equal flow through the moulding box, Fred. That's about the size of it. But it's certainly an age-old process, and we've been here for a long, long time.
Oh, this like area is very famous for foundry, isn't it?
It really is. Central Scotland.
Way back to 1803, you know,
yes,
Cannon Ironworks.
That's right. We've been here since about 1820. The company was started there. I think it was established in about 1856, and it has been in the Ballantyne family now. And and Mr. Ballantyne is still, the son and heir. And good news for us, he has a young son, so hopefully he'll come along and join us. He's at university at the minute. But the other good thing about Mr. Ballantyne and that is when he was coming into the shop at first, his father made him come here and do this. He made him do the moulding, and he worked in the pattern shop, and he worked in the fitting shop. So it's so you'd have a real insight into the job itself. Sadly, there's we're getting less and less, and we're one of the last few standing now. Just recently, 2 of the largest foundries in Scotland just closed down there, and you've got to feel for the men and the skills that are sort of left on the street now, Fred. But we soldier on.
How long does it take one of your molders to learn that traditionally till he can be left on his own?
It's really a 5-year apprenticeship. There are a lot of father and son combinations in here, so they'll learn the skills from their dad. every moulder's responsible for his own ladle. At the end of the day, he'll need to chop that out back to the metal and then reline it, get it dried off. We've got little individual dryers, and then, you know, it's ready for the next day again.
In 1950, there were more than 200 foundries like this in central Scotland. Now this is one of the only ones left. Back at the railway, it's time to get prepared for the next stage of the journey.
Come on then, it's time we were away.
Right, sure.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Wagons roll.
They're going to be heading back south to England. But before they leave this part of Scotland, Fred wants to have a look at the Forth bridges and see if they can drive the engine over the road bridge. They're not sure whether traction engines are allowed across the bridge.
Get off my wheel.
All right. Sorry. Yeah, there they are, eh? Two together.
At last.
One built this century and one last century.
Which is the rail bridge?
The red one. They never stopped painting.
Hey, there's a train going over. It looks like a blooming model. Look at that.
Yeah, they when they built that one, I think 57 men were killed building it, the rail bridge.
The rail bridge.
And the other one, there were only a few, there were only a couple or two killed on the other one.
Yeah.
But two of Scotland's greatest landmarks.
Looks impressive.
Oh, aye, yeah. It is when you're on top. I've been on the rail bridge, you know, on the ironwork like. Yeah.
Well, if you're going up to ironwork today, I'm not coming with you.
Hey, no?
No. When it was built, the railway, it was longest in Europe for a spell, weren't it?
I don't know that, but I know one thing. Instead of it being built out of wrought iron, it was one of the earliest structures built out of steel.
On steel, yeah.
Yeah. I had a boot once with magnificent drawings and pictures in, and I lent it somebody and never come back. Of the whole construction of it all, you know, as it went on from day to day. It was a right good boot, that. But I ain't got it no more, you know.
How far across is it, do you know?
No idea. It's a long way.
It's set from here, isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if they'll let us go over with this. There might be some sort of speed job, you know, you might not be able to do 20 mile an hour or something like that, which we can't do, can we?
There's one thing about it, we'll not pay a toll because these will not be on the notice board.
No, that's a fact, yeah. I didn't think about that, yeah.
But are they going to let them across?
Windy. We've just come over your bridge, Alistair, and it didn't collapse.
That's good to know. Did you have any problems getting up the slope?
Well, yeah, it's the engine isn't really running as good as it should be doing, but it made it all right, you know, that's the main thing. How old is it now, your bridge?
Well, the bridge opened in 1964, so we're just approaching our 40th anniversary.
Do you have much maintenance?
Well, we've got a big problem. Not only do we have to maintain the structure because it's 40 years old, but it was designed in the 50s when the heaviest commercial vehicle was only 24 ton. And now the European standard is 44. Added to that, last year we carried 24 million vehicles.
That's a lot, isn't
when
it?
it opened in 64.
Well, can they not put stronger ropes on, or, you know?
It's not the ropes that are the problem. I mean, the towers are now reaching their limit. The main cable's reaching its limit. In fact, we recently put a new tower inside that tower. And the wall thickness of that new steel is about 1.5 inches. So you have a column taking an extra 6,000 ton off the existing tower. In fact, we put so much load into the new tower that the existing bridge had been relieved of its weight and actually went up 1.5 inches. So it was a big operation.
No, it's one or two bits where it were a bit up and down here, the road surface, you know.
Well, what you've got to remember, Fred, is when it's blowing up quite a gale now, but if the wind got up to 100 mile an hour, the centre span would move out 23.5 feet in the direction of that wind. So every 60 feet across the deck, you've got a movement joint, and that's where you get the clatter as you go across the bridge.
But you wouldn't think that, would you? It's 23 foot.
23 foot in a 100 mile an hour wind. So it's magic. So it's left hand down a bit as you're heading to Fife.
What's the highest winds you've recorded over there?
We've put it off the scale about 102.
Oh, so you've had them kind of...
Oh yeah, I mean we're pretty far north.
Do you have to close?
We close at 85 to all vehicles, because after that point you're starting to get light heads coming off and blowing around. It's a bit dangerous. And standing where you are, you would actually see the bridge starting to oscillate.
Somebody's explained that.
That's amazing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, how high are they, them towers?
You're 508 feet above the river if you're standing on the top of these towers.
No, I've never been up a chimney that big.
And what's the highest chimney you've been up then?
Oh, 300 foot.
300 feet?
Yeah.
That was without a lift?
We attempted to knock a concrete one down that were 450 foot high, but the bloody thing fell down a day early, you know.
That's the first traction engine ever to have driven across the Forth Bridge under its own steam. And next week, there's another interesting bridge to cross. Fred and Alf will be taking the engine across the Middlesbrough Transporter Bridge as they head south to visit a boilermaker in Bradford. Four weeks into their grand tour of Britain's industrial past, Fred Dibnah and his steersman Alf Molyneux are making good progress. They've been running a full head of steam from the Scottish borders to the northeast of England.
I'm on my way to Sunderland to look at a great pumping station that was built to cater for the ever-increasing demand for more water. With the invention of the steam engine, far more water was needed than ever before to run the engines and equip Britain's new industries. This is Rye Oak Pumping Station, built by the Sunderland and South Shields Water Company in 1868. The station ceased operating in 1967 after a century of pumping water.
Hello, Fred. You found us. Well done.
And it contains two of the finest beam engines in all of Great Britain, which are maintained in running order by a dedicated bunch of volunteers.
These great rocking beams are like a huge version of a simple garden pump. The beams transmit steam power via long connecting rods to pumps located at the bottom of a 250-foot deep shaft. 3 Lancashire boilers make steam to drive the engines.
What do you think of these then? Can you go on?
Them are long connection rods, aren't they, compared with a lot of water pumping engines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine the manpower and the toil that went into making these.
Yeah.
Even digging the shaft, 250 feet.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
1860s,
Yeah.
all done by hand.
Yeah, that's a fur-roll crankshaft, isn't it?
Let's have a look at this maker's plate.
Hey?
There we are. Hawthorns,
Yeah.
1868.
Brass plates are looking
Lovely,
nice,
isn't it?
isn't it? They made boat engines and all.
They did. They made trains, boat engines, ships as well. Would you like to try starting one of these engines?
You know, well, there's all them levers.
Well, go and try it. Try this.
We'll have a go. I know it's like a bit of a knack, innit?
It is. Here.
Yeah,
You have to step up. We've got a step, seems short. You're going to need the top step as well.
Yeah.
We're going to put quite a few turns on the steam valve, yeah? So if you can open that, I'll tell you when to stop. Okay, that's about fine.
Yeah.
And we're going to lift these two fully and just hold them open.
Both at equal.
Both at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Bloody hell. Now what happened?
And now put them down, drop them down, and go on to these two, lift those two.
These two?
Yeah, quick as you can. All right. And put them down, shut, steam right off.
Right, how many tons did that beam weigh?
22 tons. Took a team of 44 horses to pull each beam all the way from the banks of the River Tyne where they were built. Imagine that. When they got to the Sunderland Bridge, the tollkeeper took one look and he went, "There's no way you're bringing that over my bridge." But they got here somehow, so they must have got across in the dead of night.
Yeah.
Right, we'll put just a little bit more steam on, Fred. Okay, that's fine. So you can see how you can control the strokes and even the direction of the beam using these valves. Right, we'll close that off now. Beautiful.
The water supply has been restored.
Excellent.
Large pumping stations like Ryhope were built to provide clean drinking water after the discovery that cholera outbreaks in the first half of the 19th century were caused by contaminated drinking water. The two 100 horsepower beam engines straddle 3 stories of the engine house. The clean water was pumped from aquifers running through limestone rocks 250 feet underground.
Beam to a bearing a long way away, you'd use a laser beam.
Oh, yeah.
These guys had a piece of string in their eyes.
Well, we're a bit like that.
Yeah.
Bows and arrows.
They only generate about 100 horsepower. They would pump 81.5 gallons every stroke. 10 strokes a minute, 24 hours a day.
And what did you pump in the 24-hour period?
24 hours, about 1 million gallons of water.
Gallons.
Yeah.
Right, that lovely smell of steam, eh? Yeah.
Beaming, where the engine's got the name from, the big beams.
How did they actually get these beams into position?
Well,
Because you can see they couldn't get them in through the
they
doors.
actually came up with the walls and they jacked them up with great bolts of wood. Didn't they, King?
They built it to this floor level.
Yeah.
Winched the beams in, then built this huge roof over the top of it.
Over the top.
And the roof actually ties the building together as well. The size of the timbers we've got and the trusses in the roof.
When did they ever drop one, you know, and things went wrong?
They dropped the beam.
Yeah, they did, you know.
Yeah, they must have.
Yeah.
See the eyelets?
Yeah,
The idea was that roof would take the weight of that beam.
Yeah.
You've never tried?
No.
And I don't think I'd like to try now. You get a lovely view of the cylinder tops. Just watch your head as you look over, so you don't get a clatter from the beam. But now you can see the different size and diameter of the cylinders.
Yeah.
Wonderful, intricate pieces of metalwork holding all of this together.
The governor controls the engine speed and the flywheel ensures its smooth action. At the heart of any steam engine is the boiler. The 3 Lancashire boilers they've got here at Ryhope date back to 1908.
My granddad did this for a lot of years.
At that time, boiler making was a major industry. Now there are very few boiler makers left, but Fred has managed to track one down.
I'm on my way to a boiler maker's in Bradford. But first I'm stopping off to have a look at a famous Teesside landmark, the Middlesbrough Transporter Bridge.
Tell you what, stood up here, you don't need to stop for a smoke. No.
This bridge was opened in 1911 to carry pedestrians and materials across the River Tees and was hailed as one of the great engineering feats of the time. It carries 250 foot passengers and 300 vehicles every day. I wonder if they'll let me go across with my traction engine.
Fred opened the visitor centre of the Middlesbrough Transporter Bridge 4 years ago. So with a bit of luck, the bridge master will let them take the engine across.
Yeah, there it is. Now that's Middlesbrough's pride and joy. The biggest transporter bridge in the world. You know. Yeah, and it was built by William Harrell in Glasgow, who actually built the Forth Railway Bridge. And it's supposed to be made in Scotland, transported here in big lumps, and then riveted together. Right, yeah. The steps at that end, they used to be some down this side, and you could walk across to nothing in the morning when you were on your way to work.
I heard one time as workers on the other side had cycled to the bridge, carry the bike up and across, and that way they didn't have to pay.
Yeah, I once went up there, it's bad enough on your own, my man carrying a bike. But then there's another good story that one the great day when they had the booze up and they opened it, the Lord Mayor fell in the river, you know, you can see his hat bobbing down. It's all that, you know. Anyway, let's go and have a closer look at it.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, ready?
Right.
Break off.
I'm actually seeing a list of tariffs from about 1911, and it says a traction engine is the equivalent to 10 shillings. I'd better go and have a word with the bridge master and see if it still stands. The men of Middlesbrough are famous for building bridges.
They've built a few up and down the world, haven't they? I think didn't they do Sydney Harbour Bridge from here?
One or two rivets in this bridge, isn't there?
The bridge has a travelling car deck, or gondola, which traverses the River Tees. The gondola is suspended by 30 steel cables from a trolley that runs on rails 160 feet up in the air.
Over the water.
An electric winder located on the south bank pulls the trolley back and forth.
It's steady, isn't it? No wobbling.
The bridge's unusual design lets sailing ships with tall masts freely navigate the channel.
They didn't need to paint it up for us, did they? Nice and smooth, isn't it? It's going at a fair rate of knots now too, isn't it?
I hope it stops when we get to the other side.
Don't drive off till the gap's closed.
No. How much is it?
Break off.
Yeah. Hi, thank you for letting us cross your bridge.
No problem at all. You want to come and see the workings?
Yeah. Hey? Yeah. Right. This is the winder, is it?
This is it?
Yeah.
All original.
Yeah.
1911.
Yeah.
Hasn't changed. 500 volt, DC, 30 horsepower motors.
Oh, how long does it take you to get across?
Well, it takes on average 2 minutes. You can time it if you like, yeah.
Yeah.
But when I'm not here, you never know what they're up to. You can drive a lot faster.
Seconds so far. Oh, it's going round to the far right, that.
About halfway across now.
Minute.
Yeah. You can hear them brakes kicking there.
It's 2 minutes up to there. So it's just a bit less than 2 minutes. Oh, you're not done yet.
Well, he's driving as per instruction.
Right, the next port of call is Israel Newton's Boiler Works at Idle near Bradford.
It's 80 miles to Bradford and the weather's fine.
The backbone of my engine, of course, is the boiler, which is needed to raise the steam to make the thing go. A steam boiler is virtually a bomb. If one of these things blew up, in fact one did in America a few months ago, and killed 5 people and injured 40, I believe. You know, you can be lighting a fire in something that's very dangerous and end up, as the man in America did, killing 5 people, himself and his own son.
Fred's getting concerned. It's still 10 miles to Bradford. Not only is there no coal in the bunker, but the water level is dangerously low.
I think we can reach.
Oh, we're all right there.
We'll reach that. They don't check these very often, I don't think. It seems a bit tight.
Plenty of pipe. We're all right.
Can't believe this, can you? Can't believe it.
It always what's do.
Door will not open now. It's not our day.
No, it's because of the way it's hanging, the van's leaning. What do we want worry about that for?
I won't get the screwdriver to open the grid.
Oh, there used to be a bar in the back.
I've got a bar, but it's not been off for a while.
Pull down on the door. Definitely at the top.
Is this another of your burglar-proof ideas?
No, it moves about made of wood, isn't it? That, gentlemen, is not a fire hydrant. It's a stop valve. It isn't a fire hydrant.
Eh?
Not a fire hydrant.
It's not a fire hydrant?
No, it's a stop valve. You better abort this bit of this bloody film, you know.
It's not our day, is it? Not our day.
Yeah. It isn't. It's,
You want to look and try it?
Yeah, but it isn't. It's for turning people's water off. Yeah.
Well, best leave it then.
Yeah, it's never been open for bloody years, that, you know. Yeah. Don't know there's any fire hydrants.
You know there's any fire hydrants? No.
The fire hydrants are generally, and as a rule, got a bloody great big letter H and painted yellow.
Right. There's one here, Fred.
Eh?
One here, 20 yards further on.
It's got a letter H, has it?
Yes.
Right, we'll go there. Oh, you can go down a bit.
All right.
We don't get any knocks in
We're
the
not
hose
getting any knocks. We'll not get any knocks.
Eh?
We won't get any knocks. Right, it's all yours.
Oh,
oops.
Though you'll usually find water, eventually,
Success.
coal can be a little more difficult to get hold of.
If you're going on a big journey, I've had friends who, before they set off, they know roughly how far they can get. So they arrange with a coal merchant to, you know, leave some at a pub or something like that, you know.
But wherever they go, somebody always seems willing to help them out.
How did you?
How are you doing?
Well, we're in trouble. We need some coal.
You need some coal?
Fortunately, in Yorkshire, Fred's fans have got all the right connections.
Might just know a coal yard down the road with a bit of coal if you're stuck. I could bring some bags
Yeah,
up.
because a Willis Jeep.
Yeah, 1942. Not quite as old as your machine.
Yeah. Yeah, is he in, the bigger guy, you know?
They might be out haymaking today, but I could probably get...
come coal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any particular type?
Well, the bigger the lumps, the better. Yeah.
Right then, I'll go get some.
All right then. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Yeah. See you later.
in a bit.
Right. Yeah, that was very good.
The water tanks hold 60 gallons. They're going to be another 20 minutes.
The tired and the weary.
It's all going in now.
Yeah, that's all right. Precious.
We've had this helpfulness. So where we've been, haven't we? Everybody's enjoyed seeing us, talking to us, helping us. You know, so. See what I mean? Thank you, dear. Thank you very much.
Is that all right for you?
That's smashing, yeah.
Shall I take it out?
Yeah. Are you frightened of...
You might bite me.
Thank you. Tell him it's Guinness, he'll drink it all.
Thank you, dear. You're very kind. Superior service. How did you manage that so quick? Eh?
Well, steam coal, I believe.
Is it? Oh, brilliant.
Put it in the
Yeah,
in
well,
the
hang
back
on,
or-
I'm not supposed to lift down coal, you know.
Well, I can.
Yeah, aye. Oh, well, just tip it in the coal box.
Right then.
Yeah, I've got the bladder cancer, you know.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Is that something that's...
Yeah, they can't mend it.
They
you know.
can't?
No.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're full up.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Nobody's paid him yet.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks.
With the coal and water supplies replenished, Fred's getting irritated by a leak that's appeared in his boiler.
These holes are only as big as flies' legs. They're not great big gaping holes. But that's a bit of a nuisance, that one, you know. It's when it's not under pressure, there's no there, you know, it's dry. I mean, my steamroller, there were one, it leaked for 2 years. And it was a major job to stop it, you know, and I thought that'd seal up, but it never did. Well, the boiler inspector mustn't think it's going to blow up, so we'll be all right.
These leaks aren't a problem, it's just that Fred's a perfectionist. In the old days, new boilers were put out in the rain to go rusty for 12 months, which sealed them up. But Fred didn't have 12 months. Fred completely rebuilt his engine from a depressing pile of rusty old bits. The boiler was the most challenging part. Being a steeplejack, he couldn't afford the services of a professional boilermaker. He rebuilt the whole thing himself. The boiler uses much more water to climb steep hills. Great strain is placed on the engine as 12 tons of iron slowly hauls itself uphill. But the effort's worth it. Fred is going to visit one of Britain's last boilermakers.
Boilermaking are one of Britain's most important industries. They even have their own Boilermakers Union. And to me, it's a great privilege to go and watch, you know, how they did it in the older days, being myself a bit of an amateur boilermaker. Nobody told us you lived on top of a mountain. It is Real Newton's Boiler Works in Bradford. Boilers are still made in the traditional way, using rivets instead of welding. It's run by Mr. Gordon Newton, who is the 6th generation in a family-run business that was founded in 1803.
Hey, we'll leave it here a minute.
Fred's proud of his boiler making and he wants to show all the best bits off.
Aye, we got the rivets from Barnsley, who were a very nice man, and you know, for the foundation ring and up the new throat plate and round the barrel.
Yeah.
But when we hydraulicked it, everything were all right. But when you think that bloody great tank of water,
yep.
There's 9 rivets on each side, you know.
Oh, right.
When you go over the bump, you know, boom,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And of course it's bloody leaking, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not bloody squealing about the leaks, you know. I think eventually they'd stop.
They'll make up.
Yeah.
Did you replace the box only on that?
Oh, it's got a new box and a new barrel. In fact, the only original plates of the boiler are this plate, top wrapper, and the back head.
Yeah.
We had no bother with any leaks from the, you know, from the gaskets. Well, I'm telling a lie. It's just fizzing a bit onto the side. But you can see a bit of steam coming on it. Yeah. We came home and from somewhere at our first trip out, and it was a bloody disaster. So we got back home. We had a week off, didn't we? And in the week off, I decided, like, I got up one morning at 6 o'clock. I thought, I'll get that off, all of that.
Yeah.
Had all pipes off and everything. By the time elf come. And I got that off and then got going tap, you know, and all that, you see. And then, you know, they'd nearly all gone, but I weren't happy. And then another guy come who's like a larger than life man, and he says, I've got the stuff, he says. It'll block a bloody bullet hole up in an engine block. Then when he's worked, well, he's gone to sleep. Anyway, and it was £9.99p a bottle full. And I thought, it's worth a try. I didn't really want to put any more chemical in it, you know. I mean, God's natural ways, I think, are better. You
yes,
know,
that's
rust,
right. That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, I slung them in, corked it up, and all the leaks went. But sure, after a bit, they bloody come back again. They weren't as bad, but they come back. Anyway, it's not bloody peeing out. There's not a puddle of water on. Like you see some, don't you, at steam rallies, like a sieve, you know.
Well, I saw one with the tubes were leaking.
Ready for 5 minutes. And Fred tells me this is what engine men do. They fall off where it looks comfortable and relax. But I'm just short of a pillar.
Here at Israel Newton's Boiler Works, they manufacture and repair all kinds of locomotive and steam engine boilers. They use traditional plate bending, flanging and hot riveting techniques. Loco boiler rebuild could cost anything from £20,000 to £200,000.
You want plenty of rivets?
Yeah. About 9 tonne here. Various sizes. Father bought years ago.
Yeah. Boilers contain steam at a very high pressure, which of course is very dangerous. So the boiler maker has to make sure that the riveting and the plate work is done to a very high standard, or this could lead to an explosion and create mayhem and havoc over a great area.
My father always used to say when I came into the business, he says, never give a man a job to do unless you can do it yourself.
Agreed.
And that's how, in my opinion, all businesses should be run, but it's not so anymore. But
in the modern world of accountants.
Exactly, yes.
Right, take 1/4 of an inch off outside.
Traction engines are an expensive business. When a quote for a boiler repair comes in at upwards of £1,500, Fred was never afraid to have a go himself.
That was for doing a special throat plate for a new boiler we've got going at the moment.
People don't realise, do they, the amount of preparation you've got to do for bend a piece of plate to that. When you tell them how much it is, like, they've been,
exactly, you know, £1,500, yes. I know somebody in Lancashire who went somewhere else.
Remains of a folding smoke box.
That's right, that's right.
All right, mate. Come on.
The centrepiece of Gordon's workshop is a 1930s press, which makes the curved plates common in boilers of this type.
Gordon,
pressure does it press through this?
It's only about 50 ton, which is quite amazing. That's all you need when you're hot pressing.
This is my pride and joy at the moment. We were approached by the Great Western Society about 2.5 years ago with some very old drawings going back to 1904 to make a brand new vertical steam rail motor boiler. It's quite something, I think, even though I say it myself. There's 415 tubes in there. There's quite some heating surface.
What pressure?
160 psi.
That's a lot of weight, isn't it?
Yeah.
People don't realise, do they, when they look at these things, that for every square inch, there's 160 pounds trying to blow it apart.
That's right.
Yeah, it looks to me like a long-term project.
But with something like this, which there isn't one like it in the world to copy or to have a look at, you've got to take your time. If you have a problem,
don't make any mistakes.
No, it's got to be done right first time.
Yeah.
Have we got a good future here, Gordon, in this works?
We've enough work, it's ongoing for 12 months, and the type of work we're doing, which is a mixture between locomotive work and traction engine work, there is a definite future, and with it being a lack of skills, you'll always get the work.
How are you going on about that, about getting people to come in and learn the skills?
Very difficult. You just can't get anybody to. Well, I don't want to wear boiler suits for a start. It's not street cred. Sorry about that. But that is a problem. They don't want the dirt in their hands. A trust is now being formed. Our business would transfer to this other trust, and then from then on we can get young people in and try and make boiler makers of them. People still want traditional type of work. The trust would be the Boiler Skills and Training Trust, and then the subsidiary or the operating company would be Israel Newton 21st Century Limited, and that's how it would go.
And as boiler making heads into the 21st century, Fred and Alf are heading south to visit Sheffield, the city that made the steel for an engine like this. They'll be visiting a forge where they used to make things like the axles and crankshaft for an engine like Fred's. And they'll be going to a working museum that tells the early history of steel making in Sheffield. Fred Dibnah's grand tour of Britain's industrial past has brought him to the heart of the Pennines in Yorkshire. For his steersman, Alf Molyneux, the day starts with a 2-hour routine of getting steam up.
Right, dashbox is empty now, Fred.
Is there much more in?
There's none in.
You can tell how they ended up all filthy, can't you? You know, and all an inch of muck stuck to them, like.
Yeah. It'll not be like that another half hour.
Eh?
It won't be like that another half hour. Will you give us a lift, Fred, with these ashes?
Yeah, all right, Carl, Has he been dead long?
Then there's a tarpaulin that covers the engine at night to pack away.
Right, we can start polishing now, can't we?
Well, yeah, not polishing, rubbing the dust off.
This will get the dust off, and then we'll go over it again and shine it.
Fred, ever the perfectionist, insists that the engine is always gleaming.
Hey, it works and all. Look how it's bringing that horrible burn must be for fish and chip shop proprietors, you know. Oh, look at that.
I'm nearly through the bloody pipe. Where are we going next?
Oh, we're heading for Sheffield to go to a forge and see how they used to do it, you know.
Right.
And how they made steel when they first invented it.
And how far is
Might
it?
be nice, that.
How far is it?
I don't know. Just keep going till we get there. It's not very far, I don't think.
Iron and steel form the vast majority of Fred's engine. When it was built, iron was relatively easy to work and could be cast into intricate shapes like the cylinder block and the front forks, but it's weak. Steel is much stronger, but more difficult to make. It's used in the plate work of the boiler and the moving parts like the axles and gears.
Well this morning.
But first, Fred's got an ambition to achieve.
Just down the road, there's a rather spectacular bridge that goes over the M62. And every time I go up the M62, I get this urge to cross it with the traction engine.
But thirsty as ever, they couldn't pass a pub without stopping.
Blow the whistle and all. The bridge. That's the bridge. It looks high up, this bridge.
Yeah, it is high up, mate, I tell you.
Scamandham Bridge is the biggest single-span bridge in Europe, and it crosses the M62, the highest motorway in Britain, in spectacular style.
Got a bit of a dip in it, don't look like dinky cars, look at them down there. A long way down. You're not so bad, I'm 18 inches further fall than you. Can we stop a minute here? Belting views at countryside.
Yeah. Well, they're exciting up here. When you're down there, you don't quite realise where you are in relation to this bridge. You can see the road to Halifax over there, you know, in the reservoir, which you see all that when you're coming down the hill on to the side, then it disappears. And then from here we can see all of it. Concrete bends, you know. So every time I've come along the M62 and seen this bridge, it's always fascinated me, and you often thought, I wonder if the low weight of a traction engine. It's so high up you don't realise how big it is.
Well, I've got any doubt about it all in weight. We're best bloody get going.
No, you're all right. I've seen a few six-leggers full of rock going across, so we're all right. When you think they must have shifted a few thousand ton of rock to make this M62 just here.
Shall we get going before cracks start appearing?
If the cracks appear, there'll be no doubt for us. To go
we
down
could,
with
we could fall out motor and get run over.
It'll go down with a thunderous roar.
Ah, a thunderous roar, and that's only us screaming. Blow your whistle.
Ah, bollocks.
He got one. Another one.
Water.
And now it's full steam ahead for Sheffield.
There's a lot of steel in an engine like mine, and so therefore we're heading for Sheffield to have a look round there, and of course Sheffield is known all over the world as the City of Steel.
Taking in so much scenery in one afternoon is thirsty work, but at last they find a pub that's open.
Is this in here?
Getting too old for these sort of trestles.
I'm glad for a sit down.
No, we're all right. I'm enjoying this trip, really. Very tiring, but good fun, isn't it? Easier than working, but in some ways harder.
I'll tell you what, though, all these, these beautiful things we've been and,
places,
these nice places we've seen and that. If I was asked what was outstanding, I'd say the warmth radiating from the people we've met.
It's nice, that.
Kids at school railings waving and people coming up every time we stop for put coal on. We've been made welcome everywhere, haven't
we've been,
That really, that's the highlight for me.
Yeah.
But some of these hills can still be a bit of a problem for the engine. They really slow things down.
Ready when you are.
And Sheffield is very hilly. To make matters worse, it started to rain. And Fred and Alf are running late for a meeting.
I think we'd better get the map out.
Let's have a look at the map. Other way.
Well, I think it's down there.
Down there?
Yeah.
Well, we might be running out of rain that way with a bit of luck.
Put it away.
It's raining apart from out else, it looks like it's brighter that way.
Yeah.
Get out this bloody rain.
And it's down there, right. Pull the map up.
Bloody map's wet through it, it'll not fold up.
They're looking for a World War II tank in a district of Sheffield called Tankersley. At the tank, they've arranged to meet someone to help them find their way.
It's pretty crudely made, isn't it? Yeah. No rivets. Yeah, by 1940, they'd done away with rivets.
There was a bumpy ride on them.
Good morning. Hello.
Peter Machin is a local historian. His father worked in the steel industry.
He were a traction engine man who invented tanks, you know.
Was he?
Yeah, they were hundreds made by Rushton and Owensby, not them, you know. I'm going a bit senile, you know, I can't put my name on it, but very famous, you know, traction engine company made the first tanks for 14 War. You know, millions of rivets and all. Not one rivet on this.
No.
You know, like the crudest of welding, you know.
Right, well, this is a Churchill tank. These were made in 1940 here.
They're quite modern,
They were, and these were the workhorses of the Royal Engineers, you know. They made 1,100 of these in just a few months here at Newton Chambers, the big ironworks all round here, you know.
We'll let you be our guide. You can ride in our luxury mechanical transport.
Excellent, be a thrill. Well, we'll go down to Winkerbank Hill where we can look down over the Don Valley.
Yeah. Not losing any steam, you know. Good. That's what we want.
All right, underneath the railway bridge there,
The tank factory has long since gone, along with much of Sheffield's steel industry.
Get away from trees. This one, run over something. Drag that up there, you know, there's a lot of water.
Right, left at the light, Fred.
Eh?
Left at the light.
We're going up Winkerbank Hill with Peter Machin to get a bird's eye view of Sheffield. And from this vantage point, you can really see how the steel industry took off here in Sheffield.
Unfortunately, progress is slow. What the plan didn't take into account is the traction engine's ability to climb hills.
Stop
night and clear it up.
Yeah. Jungle now.
Magic, that. Absolute magic. Hey, you got it there well, Fred.
We've been calling it for a month, haven't we? It won't go up hills, but it come up there, all right.
Did you want us to go up this house track?
Yeah, apparently there's something up there we can turn round on, but that's where we get our panoramic view of the Steel City. All this way, for an aerial view of Sheffield.
But when you're travelling, not all expeditions are successful.
Is there a pub on top of this hill?
I doubt it.
Hey.
There's nothing worse than going to the top of a mountain only to find the weather's got so bad you can't see a thing.
That's it. I think we'll go in the van out the way.
Get out rain a bit.
Yeah, till it stops raining. Yeah, I've had enough. So much for our panoramic view of Sheffield. Put the kettle on. Hey. Look at the state of it in here.
Get sit down. Is this coffee?
I don't know, but we'll have a bit.
The weather wasn't about to improve, so they gave up. No time to hang around up here waiting for it to clear, because Fred and Alf have to get to a Sheffield forge before the shift ends. But there's always time for another quick pint.
Fred reckons there's traction drivers off the daft.
Hey, you are.
You always said traction drivers off the mad and daft.
Yeah. Well, that's a fight. Hey. It's not too bad if you've got a lid, you know.
It's no harder, it's just less pleasant, isn't it?
Yeah. If it's quite light, carry on, you know. But I mean, the mixture of oil and rain on your glasses and it becomes vision is impossible. Like there were times when I could see better without the glasses than you could, you know, wearing them. You know.
And now it's on to the forge.
There's some fur pieces of iron knocking about here, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
What are we going to see here, anyway?
Well, like, forging really is when the ingot comes from the steel maker. It's like a bit open grain, as you might say, and forging it into certain shapes consolidates the molecules and makes it much stronger, you see.
Right.
That's what it's really all about, you know.
Yeah.
Independent Forging is a specialist in the forging of large steel components for the aerospace and oil industries. The works is the former site of Daniel Doncaster and Sons, one of the oldest forge masters in the world, which date back to the 1770s. The forging hammer is a 7-ton model made by B&S Massey of Manchester. They think it was constructed in the late 1800s, but nobody's really sure. Originally, it was driven by steam power, but 2 years ago they converted it to compressed air. You what? Yeah. Oh, you ready now? Yeah, right. I'll stand out of the way. There's been a lot of men turning that round. Getting nearer. I've got a massive compressor on, yeah, 200 weight one. Best places we've been to, this. That's a fair piece of tackle, isn't it?
That's an 8 ton, that one.
Yeah.
It's 2 8 tons,
Yeah.
5 ton and 3 ton and 2 2 ton. It was hard quality in old days before they had them machines. It were big cranes, bars and
10
levers.
men on to the left.
That's when you needed a sweat towel.
Yeah, yeah. Railway wagon wheel.
This is an iron tyre for a tank, but this is exactly the way that the axles or the crankshaft for a traction engine would have been forged. A 100 years ago, when Fred's engine was built, there were over 5,000 forges like this all over Britain. Now, there are no more than 100.
Yeah, yeah. For every man who's trying to earn a living in England, there's paid £300 a week with a company car saying you can't do that because you don't wear a tin hat. There'll be bloody 20 men working and 60 looking after them. Yeah, yeah. Isn't it funny how everybody who does forging, when they've actually used the bloody tool, you know, they just drop it on floor, you know.
Well, he's like that. Don't bite when it should go.
Yeah, yeah, I'm like that. Where's it gone, you know? Where's the tongues gone, you know? Bloody hell, it disappeared.
You put everything away, you know where it is next time.
Oh, I am. Yeah, well, have you worked here now?
About 28 years, me.
Yeah.
Well, been here about 32, haven't you?
Yeah, bloody hell, that's a lot. Straight from school, like.
But I've been in the industry all my life.
Yeah,
64 now.
Yeah.
Last time I got made redundant here in 1999.
Yeah.
They closed it down altogether. No work for it.
Yeah, and then...
Our managing director bought it, sent for us back.
It's
But
true,
this
that.
job used to be a good job. Years ago, weren't it, Bo? It used to be a really good paid job, and it's crap now. I'm not keen to.
Yeah, well...
For what we get,
yeah, for
they can
hanging
go
on
and
to your
sweep
job,
streets.
really. Yeah.
It is. It's rubbish. Rubbish.
I know what you mean, yeah. Somehow or other, I've always been attracted to dangerous, dirty things, you know. You know, like...
What do you call it?
Heavy and dirty, dangerous. Women. I've had 3 of them, you know.
It was fascinating watching the forging. I've never seen forging before. Enjoyed it.
It was really good. I mean, I've never seen anybody making iron tyres before like them men, you know, punching a hole through the middle. That intrigued me greatly, you know. Might even have a do at that with my own hammer, you know, at home, like. I like a bigger hammer, actually, at home than when I've seen them, like.
It looks so easy, but I'm sure it takes a lot of experience. A lot of it seemed to be being done by eye, didn't it? I thought it was fantastic today. And the other thing that's come across is what an happy workforce it was. They feel they're doing something, and I don't know, they're a good team, weren't they?
Well, you got to be without
You watch the 2 men at either side of the hammers, they can't hear one another, they're just watching one another, and each man knows what the other man's going to do next.
And when the shift finished, it was back to the pub.
Where have you driven from to get to Sheffield then? On this
Well, we don't
steam?
know. We've been halfway up a mountain.
Top Raleigh Banks Road.
We went to the top of, how do you pronounce it? Winskabank Hill?
Winkerbank.
Really big hill. To the top of the
That's overlooking Meadow Hall, isn't it?
Yeah, aerial view of Sheffield. And when we got to the top, it was raining that hard, you couldn't see Sheffield. See how things like changed over the last 30 years, sort of thing.
When we first started, it was all handwork, all done by hand.
Yeah.
Brought from furnace by
open
crane.
the furnace door and a big spoon and hanging on like that.
Must have been exciting then, even though it were hard, you know.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. How long have you been here, like?
Left school at 15. My dad didn't particularly want me to go and work at Doncaster's in a forge, which he'd done all his life. And unbeknownst to him, I went down and had an interview and got a job purely by the fact that all my family already worked there. 2 uncles, my dad. And in the past, during the war years, 2 aunties, 3 aunties and a grandma. Forging is in your blood. And if it's not in your blood, you'll never do it. I've done it for 42 years and never look back and still enjoy going to work.
After 5 generations, Pete's the last forgeman in his family. On leaving Sheffield, they're halfway through their grand tour. But Fred's illness is making the travelling hard work. So he's going to have a few days off with some old friends in Derbyshire. But on the way, there's one more place to see. It's a museum that tells the story of early steelmaking here in Sheffield.
Abbeydale Industrial Hamlet is the site of the Abbeydale Works, an 18th century side-making works with water wheels, a tilt hammer and a crucible steel furnace. A group of experts from Sheffield University are going to attempt to make us some crucible steel.
That looks good. Preserved well, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're lucky it's survived so intact.
I think it's had a bit of treatment.
Shall we have a look at forge?
Yeah. Oh, these are all right, aren't they? They're called tilt hammers, these, you know. And what happens when the water wheel outside turns the flywheel, turns the spindle, the axle, you know, all them noggins at the end of the hammer shaft. And it lifts up the, you know, the hammer and bang down on the thing. So in this place, they made scythe blades, and they'd like get 2 pieces of ordinary mild steel or wrought iron, and forge weld a strip of steel in between, so the edge were a bit of good stuff, you know.
Because steel was so difficult and expensive to make, it was mixed with wrought iron. These tilt hammers were used to forge the mixture into blades. A water wheel powers the hammers and bellows in the forge. Large bellows create a good draft in the fire and get the steel in the forge hot enough to work.
That's really good, isn't it?
You can actually see the intakes opening and closing.
Yeah, well, one of the valves in pieces of leather. There'll be a few cubic feet of wind goes through the pipes every time one of them goes up and down.
Yeah, very impressive. 1700s time, this, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've seen with the silk stockings on in here.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right.
Powdered wig. Right, all that to blow the furnaces over there, the forges. And now it's just a little electric motor in it, you know. Nothing. Come on.
What are we looking at next?
Oh, we're going to the smelting department, you know, where they put the crucibles in the fire.
In the furnace. 1829.
Ah, bloody hell. Afternoon, Rod.
Morning.
Come to have a look at your crucible furnace.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's Al. Yeah, how's the fire going, Rod? Sheffield's success as a steel-producing city really took off in the 1740s, thanks to a breakthrough by Benjamin Huntsman, who operated a local foundry. His invention of the crucible steel process made it possible to make much harder and high-quality steel in great quantities.
How much would you be able to make out of that metal that you get out of that pot?
Well, that one we're doing these small ingots today, so probably 15–20 pounds. But the large pots that were originally used here would be about 50 pounds.
Of course, crucible steel were like special stuff, weren't it?
Yeah,
for edging tools and things like that.
Files.
Oh, like turning tools and all that.
Yeah. So it's very important material to get the Industrial Revolution going.
Oh, yeah. Before Huntsman, the quality of steel was unreliable and only 200 tons a year were produced in Sheffield. Well, this is how they used to do it, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
These furnaces haven't been used since the Second World War. Though the team is suited up for protection, it's a dangerous process.
Within 100 years of Huntsman's discovery, Sheffield was producing 20,000 tonnes of crucible steel a year, an amazing 40% of steel production in the whole of Europe at this time.
Oh, that's nice.
Very good. What do you do first of all? Knock it over?
When the ingot has cooled down and solidified, it's time to break the mould.
Down off the wedge.
That'll drop the thing.
Yeah.
Then push it over.
Yeah.
It'll split
The
up.
crucible.
Can't break these, can you?
No, it isn't well. Well done.
Oh, a piece of crucible steel.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, you can have your tin out back. Yeah. And that lump of steel will now go off to the rolling mill and be made into a bar or
whatever, yeah.
You can see why they really only used a bit at once, can't you? Stuck on the end of lumps of wrought iron.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, all lathe tools and cutting tools, weren't they? They were all like that.
Yes.
I've actually got some where you can see steel on one side and the softer stuff like corroded to hell, like, you know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
So
anyway,
like a
thanks
good
for
idea.
that. We'll see you later. We're off.
Okay.
We're off at tea.
Right.
See you
Late
later.
one.
Next up, Derbyshire, where Fred is going to take it easy for a few days as he stays with some old traction engine friends. He'll be joined there by his sons Jack and Roger, who will be giving Fred a hand with running the engine. They'll be going to the place where all the rivets were made for the engine, and they'll visit the workshops of the Midland Railway Centre to have a look at the way steam locos were built.